Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to the hallowed ground of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As here tonight we bring you coverage of pole day qualifying for the Season 4 Dark Horse Racing Series Indianapolis 500, and we already have trouble with Jimmy Drynan in the 99, the third driver to go out and try and set down a qualifying lap. Of course, it is based off of a 4-lap average, and Jimmy Drynan, I believe, was on his third of 4 laps, so that's going to be a throwaway time, at least for the moment, for that driver. I'm Seth Cole, going to be bringing you coverage here tonight as drivers are going to be trying to see where they will start in this Saturday's Indianapolis 500, the third time that it runs under the Dark Horse banner. We actually have both of our defending winners from this race that are going to be in the field here tonight trying to qualify for the pole position, and you're looking at one of them right there. That is Craig Forsyth, who back in Season 2 took the checkered flag here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we'll look and see what Craig is going to be able to do here tonight. 2 other drivers have already headed on out and set down lap times. They include Henry Bennett, who at this point in time, it's looking like may not have a shot for the championship. He is currently second in the point stand, 63 behind Rick Rabon. The other driver that's gone out and taken time is Charles Teed. You will see up on the top of your screen the drivers and the lap times that they have set down. However, they will not necessarily be indicating who is where in the current Indianapolis 500 qualifying results. The reason for that is because, as mentioned, it is a 4-lap average. What you will be seeing is drivers based off of the best lap time that they laid down on their run. So we will be keeping you guys aware of who is currently where in the current lineup. Drivers qualifying here tonight were done by random draw as to the time slot they had for qualifying. Craig Forsyth in the 27 this season ran a total of 4 races, had 1 finish up inside the top 10, ran a bunch of the races towards the second half of the season. He's 25th in the overall standings as a result, but trying to become the first multi-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Got a lot of big names in the field here tonight, including our own Scott Rankin. He will be qualifying here this evening as well and taking part in the Indianapolis 500. It's pole day qualifying here tonight. As mentioned last Wednesday night, the Indianapolis 500 will be running this weekend, this Saturday, October the 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon. So be sure to join us for that. All 200 laps here at Indianapolis, and it has brought about some really great finishes in the last 2 seasons, expecting no less here this season, especially with just how competitive this has been this year between drivers like Rick Rabon and Henry Bennett, Nick Degroote, Matt Wagner, Robert Maleska III. I mean, these guys, they have been mixing it up. There's been a couple of points where we've had multiple weeks where there's been a different driver leading the point standings, but the situation right now looks like all these drivers may have the reins taken off in terms of how aggressive they can be to try and take a checkered flag in the upcoming Indy 500 event, based on the fact it looks like the championship could very well be decided before the green flag even flies. The drop races have been calculated now, and Rick Rabon has a 63-point lead over Henry Bennett, 91 back to Nick Degroote, 117 to Matt Wagner, and 148 to Robert Maleska III. So it would have to be a picturesque, perfect day for Henry Bennett, and more than likely Rick Rabon would have to finish dead last in the Indy 500 in order for Henry Bennett to be able to snipe away the championship. So everybody's got a chance now of being able to not really even think about points. They can just go out there and try and get themselves a checkered flag to end off this 4th season. Right now, Craig Forsyth has the 3rd fastest lap. That does not necessarily indicate where he is going to be on the board. I'm going to try and see if I can quickly find here able to give you guys an idea of who is where in the current Indy 500 running order. Right now, as things stand, the pole position is held by Henry Bennett with an average of 230.123 miles per hour. Just a tick behind him by about a tenth is where we find second place Charles Teed at 230.016. Third place is Craig Forsyth there with that 4-lap segment, 29 or 229, I should say, 727, if I can say my numbers correctly here. And then Jimmy Drynan, after he ended up wrecking on the completion of his second lap onto his third lap, he was at the time running a 229.022 mile per hour, but obviously a throwaway lap there, and we're going to have to see if he's going to have to subsequently start at the rear of the field or if he will have a chance to be able to go out there and qualify again. Now, as of right now, the last we knew, there were a total of, I believe, 19 drivers that were lined up in time slots here this evening to be able to go out and try and capture the pole position. From about 7:45 onward, it's going to be open for all other entries. And I'm wondering if that might be when we'd see Jimmy Drynan try and go out for a second time to be able to put down a full 4-lap segment. We're looking here at James Watson in the number 39, going to be heading on out there. Watson is going to be making his first start on the season, only taking part this year in the Indianapolis 500, so a complete blank slate for us here. We'll have to see what type of speed he brings to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A number of drivers, including Watson, that we haven't seen all season. There's some drivers you're going to see here this evening that we haven't seen for a while, including a couple of teammates that'll be coming up in the next 3 or 4 entries, Mike Tellier and Bronson Stafford. Let's take an onboard here with the 39 of James Watson, and just watch the hand motion there on the lower portion of your screen. It's like qualifying for stock cars at a super speedway. You're holding the throttle down, you're trying to hold the wheel as steady as possible. You're trying to see if you can make your way around this racetrack the fastest you possibly can. Now, one thing that I've known about qualifying here in Indianapolis, and I'm going to just double check to see if it's true here, and no, it doesn't look like it is the case. And one thing that I've noticed in previous qualifying sessions is drivers, that the speed tends to taper off from lap 1 to lap 2, then from lap 2 to lap 3, and then lap 4 is the money lap. But if I'm looking right now and using Henry Bennett or Charles Teed as an example, they actually got faster the further they went. Teed went from a 39.150 to a 39.112 from lap 1 to lap 4. Henry Bennett went from a 39.126 to a 39.090. So that's something to keep in mind here too. If I'm not mistaken, I believe last season when we ran the Indianapolis 500, these drivers were out there in the IR18s. This season, they're driving the Dallara DW12. So there is obviously some difference there in those types of race cars, and have to wonder if that plays a factor into how we're seeing, at least on the charts at this point in time, that the cars are getting faster and faster the more laps that they run here in their qualifying session. Right now, James Watson, as far as fastest lap, is currently 4th on the board. We will see where he is going to slot in. Right now, he is tracking roughly just behind Craig Forsyth in 4th place. So even though our ticker shows only their fastest lap, it is right now holding pretty true with where drivers currently are at on the running order, on the qualifying order. Forsythe coming around, or correction, Watson coming around to complete his final lap. Let's see what he clocks in with. Average is going to be 229.590. And so that is going to put him 4th on the board of the drivers that have taken time. Pretty much 4th out of 4, since Jimmy Drynan only ran 2 laps, completed 2 laps of his qualifying effort. And that's going to now bring us to the 63 of A.J. Hobson, who's really kind of come to life here in the second half of the season. He's up to 14th in the point standings, despite not making all the starts on the year. 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s, and as mentioned, I mean, he had a really, really good performance in the last 3 or 4 weeks, up there inside of the top 10, and a couple occasions up there inside of the top 5, as he will head on out. Gonna try and take the opportunity here to give you guys some numbers of these particular drivers and where they finished in previous Indy 500s back in Season 2 and Season 3. Of course, we know where Craig Forsythe finished back in Season 2. A.J. Hobson finished 10th in the Indy 500 back in Season 2. He finished 4th back in Season 3. Well, as we're watching A.J. Hobson out there, see if we can maybe talk with some of the drivers that have already laid down some lap times here, and let's see if we can talk with the former Indianapolis 500 winner, Craig Forsythe. Hey, Craig, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a moment to talk?
I do.
Okay, man. I mean, right now, sitting 3rd on the board. We mentioned the fact you're coming into this race a former winner of the Indy 500. So, I mean, what's the goal here tonight? Are you wanting to qualify up towards the front? Does it not really matter as far as starting track position to be able to take a checker flag on Saturday? I mean, what's the main focus for a driver in a session like this?
It all depends on your. I don't like being at the back generally, just because I don't want to be involved up in the incidents. So no matter what race I'm in, I'm always want to be up near the front just to decrease the odds of being involved in something. But at this track with this setup, you're gonna. I mean, the guys can come from the back easily. It's going to be a good tight race. Unfortunately, on the 4th lap there, I rubbed the wall, so I'm going to have to go out again. Because 3rd place, it won't stand, that's for sure.
We've seen you kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum in the last 2 seasons. Of course, the victory back in Season 2, but 17th last season. You've had an opportunity here in the second half of the season to kind of observe some of the newer names that have come in here in Season 4. I mean, are you feeling a little bit more pressure on being able to get the victory here, or are you getting excited for when we get to Saturday?
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, the competition is higher than it's ever been. So with that, a victory becomes even more important and better to cherish, because the better the competition is, the sweeter the victory.
Well, Craig, we appreciate you talking with us here. I mean, obviously, best of luck to try and be the first multi-time winner of the Indy 500 on Saturday. For talking with us, and good luck.
Thanks, Seth.
Still looking here at A.J. Hobson out on track. Now he is clocked in around the 4th position. And we will see where he ends up. Actually, now he has just dropped to 5th place. Talking with some more drivers during the course of the evening here as well. Right now, Jay Hobson is currently just a tick ahead of James Watson on the average, just behind Craig Forsythe, who we talked with just a moment ago. About to complete his 3rd lap here, I do believe. In 2 laps of 229.618 mile per hour, and 3rd lap in the books. He actually went up in average there from a 6.18 to a 6.27. And final lap in the book, 6.58. So a 229.658 there for AJ Hobson. That's going to put him 5th on the current board. Believe according to our list, next driver we're going to be seeing out there is going to be Jim Brooks. Jim, of course, almost picking up that victory earlier on this season at New Hampshire. Finished 3rd in the Indy 500 back in Season 2 and 5th in Season 3, so he's got good numbers when it comes to this season finale event. And there he is in the 51 heading out on track. Jim Brooks has had a very good season as well. 11th in the point standings coming into this one top 5 and 7 top 10s. And as he heads out to start warming up, let's see if we can talk with a guy that's going to be taking his first green flag of the season. What kind of pressure is that going to be? James Watson. Hey, James, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a moment to talk, buddy?
I sure do.
All right, so big question for you is your start on the season here in the big race on the year, the season finale, the Indianapolis 500. I mean, how nervous are you out there in terms of racing against guys that have been racing against each other all season, or are there no nerves there? Is it just, this is Indy and I'm going to try and go out there and get this checkered flag?
Well, the IndyCar community on iRacing is a pretty close-knit group, so why I don't run Dark Horse often, I have a lot of experience racing a lot of these guys in a bunch of different Indy leagues I'm in, so that's not the problem. It's more of kind of getting reacclimated to this car. It's outside of an occasional Dallara Dash, I haven't really got a whole lot of seat time in the DW12 like I do in the IR18, so that's my biggest problem, is trying to get used to the car and having an idea on what to expect like I do with the IR18. That's what I was afraid about. And, you know, not binning it during qualifying like I did the last Dark Horse 500.
Now, we saw actually in that last Dark Horse 500, though, you were able to finish on the lead lap in the 8th position. So, I mean, what were you able to take away from that Indy 500 to apply here? I know you mentioned it's an entirely different car, but are there some things that you can apply from one car to the other in terms of your pre-race strategy before we get to Saturday?
A little bit. You don't have the being able to change the fuel map as a little bit of a crutch, so you gotta go old school with modulating the pedal and hope you got the spirit of Scott Dixon going through you in that particular time. It's really just, you know, same stuff I always do. Stay calm, stay focused, be smart, don't do any stupid maneuvers, and just kind of keep your wits about you, because, like, that's how I ended up 8th last time out. Was I didn't have anywhere near the speed as everyone else. I just survived when all the fast guys died.
Well, James, best of luck, obviously, on Saturday. Right now, looks like we've got you clocked in on 5th on the board. Well, might actually drop a spot there with the lap times Jim Brooks is laying down, but hopefully you get a good qualifying effort here, and we look forward to seeing if you can maybe go for back-to-back top 10s here in the Indy 500 on Saturday.
Here's hoping.
Of course, for those just joining us, you are watching Pole Day qualifying for the Dark Horse Racing Series Indianapolis 500. The 500 going to be taking place this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon. They'll be here on the Flatout Racing Network as well as on ESTV. We're watching Jim Brooks in around the racetrack. Right now on our telemetry, scored in the 4th position out of 6 drivers that have gone out there and made a run. Looking at the spreadsheet right now, he is just a tick ahead of Craig Forsyth. Right now, he's got a 229.732 to Forsyth's 727. We'll see if he picks it up or if it drops on the 3rd and 4th lap, because right now he would be projected to be in the 3rd position if he can hold that spot, and it went up 781. So While it only shows him currently 4th on our telemetry, he would actually be currently in line to start 3rd in the Indy 500. Just completed, I believe, his final lap. We're waiting for that to be calculated and put in, and it will be a 229.776. So by about 5/100ths, he will better Craig Forsyth, and that will put him, I do believe, 4th on the board. Correction. Yes, it will put him 4th on the board. So he was just a tick under. Nope, he was a tick over. My apologies. I'm looking at the wrong sheet. So right now he is in 3rd position as they run. And next driver out is going to be Mike Tellier in the 97. It's been a while since we've seen Mike Tellier out on track in a Dark Horse Racing Series event. Last time we saw him was back in the early part of September at Milwaukee. Tellier has made a total of 11 starts this season, 2 finishes up inside of the top 10, no top 5s, but looking to see where he can qualify the blue and white FRN car. I believe his teammate Bronson Stafford is next up after him. So as things stand right now, the current running order of the 6 drivers that have gone out and taken time are Henry Bennett, Charles Teed, Jim Brooks, Craig Forsyth, AJ Hobson, and James Watson. Jimmy Drynan again is scored 6th, but he did not complete all 4 of his laps. And I'm trying to figure out here. Okay, we are correct on the telemetry. I was wondering how 7 drivers had taken time, but I just literally got done saying that Jimmy Drynan had not completed his run. Let me see if we can talk with AJ Hobson here, that currently is sitting 5th on the running order of the drivers that have gone out and taken time. Hey AJ, set up here in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, so right now, sitting P5, really good lap time out there, 229.658. I mean, obviously, I've kind of likened this with the Indy cars, like the stock cars at Talladega or Daytona, just holding the throttle and hoping it sticks. Boy, it didn't stick right there for Mike Tellier, who's into the wall. But, I mean, is there a point as a driver when you're out there that you think, man, I could have gotten a little bit more, or do you not really realize it until you look up at the board and see the times that were laid down?
I mean, I definitely felt like I could get more. I'd say I was on the conservative side, just not getting as low as possible, just kind of staying a little above that white line. But I think, this field's going to be really close together on speeds. It's a fairly stable setup. It's nothing too hard to drive. So where you're going to get your time is who's going to get closest to that rumble strip, but not hit it to, get loose and hit the wall.
Looks like Mike Tellier only completed 1 of his 4 laps there. Obviously, we were talking about your numbers coming into this race. 10th in the Season 2 Indy 500, 4th here 1 year ago. So does that build up confidence that we might see this 63 in victory lane this Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to think that Indy's my best track. It's where I, feel the most comfortable. I've probably turned the most laps on iRacing here at Indy, so every time I come here, I like to think I got a chance to win.
Now, we were talking moments ago with James Watson, and he was documenting on the fact 2 entirely different cars being driven here in the last 2 seasons. Of course, the IR-18 last year and now the DW12 this season. I mean, has the transition been easy for you? Obviously, we know that you've had some really good runs here late in the schedule. I mean, is that anything that's affected you here in qualifying as opposed to last season? And do you think it would affect you in the race coming up?
The only spot I could really see in it affect me or anybody is not being able to mess with the in-car tools and the weight jacker and the roll bars, because you can do that in the IR18, but the DW12 you're not able to with the fixed setup. So I think that's kind of where the transition would be a little different for some guys.
AJ, obviously, best of luck to you on Saturday. Going to be looking forward to seeing if you can close out the season with a W. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Tough break there we saw from Mike Tellier getting into the wall off of turn number 2. And so a throwaway qualifying effort for the driver of the 97. As mentioned, he only got 1 lap of his 4 in at that point in time and was en route to a 229.369 average lap time, which would have still put him 7th on the board of the 7 drivers. And we're looking here at his teammate Bronson Stafford. Stafford kind of the same deal as Mike Tellier. It's been a while since we've seen him in the race car. It was a guy that was up inside the top 5 in the point standings for a good portion of the first half of the season. He made his last start at Milwaukee as well. But very, very good numbers before we saw his departures. 11 starts, 6 top 5s and 8 top 10s. And as mentioned, his consistency with his first time in the series was looking like he could very well have been a contender for the championship by the time we got here to Indy, but missed a number of starts near the second half of the season. Next drivers that are be coming up after Bronson Stafford include Joseph Morales. Morales will be making, I believe it's his 3rd start on the year. We saw him make a couple of starts near the close of this season. Had a really good run actually going last time out at Texas, which moved him up 4 spots in the standings from 31st to 27th. It was a top 10 finish for him. And then after Morales, it's going to be Eric Peterson, who is a driver that kind of needs a little bit of luck to come his way. Right now, Bronson Stafford on our telemetry has the 7th fastest lap. And right now, in terms of average, he is currently tracking just a tick behind James Watson. So he really needs to pick it up at this point in time. Watson's was a 5.90, 2:29.590, and Stafford right now running a 5.39. We'll see what his 3rd lap clocks in here as he's halfway through his run. So question marks on Mike Tellier and Jimmy Drynan if they are, after all the drivers in the respective time slots have completed their runs, if they will get to go out and attempt another try at it. Stafford's run complete, 2:29.574, 16 1/1000ths of a second off of James Watson, and that will clock Stafford in at 7th of the 7 drivers that have done a complete run. That's now going to bring in the 60 of Joseph Morales for his run here. As mentioned, Morales 2 starts on the season, 11th place run at Phoenix, and then last week a 9th place finishing result, and both of those results just inside and just outside of the top 10 are from starting positions outside of the top 15. 18th place starting spot at Phoenix and 20th, picked up 11 spots from his starting position at Texas to finish in 9th place. Scott Rankin in here, who's going to be going out at some point and putting down a qualifying lap. But Scott, obviously you've been talking with the drivers not only here tonight, but during the course of this week as they prepare for pole day qualifying. I mean, what's like some of the main things that guys have been talking about?
Look, I mean, scrubbing the tires was actually, I was just talking to Rick Ravel, and he was watching Bronson Stafford's run there, and the big thing that he said was scrubbing tires. The line didn't look quite clean enough there. Bronson jumped out of his his run then after he was done, he just said, yeah, look, I'm just not a qualifier. I just can't get those laps down in qualifying. That's okay. I'm a race day kind of guy. Well, that's good. Race day is where it's all going to be decided. Pole day? Nah, you're only leading the first of 200.
And of course, as well, we've seen kind of two sides of a coin with the Indy 500. When we ended up having Craig Forsyth go to victory lane 2 seasons ago, he did it from the 4th place starting position. So at times, it really doesn't matter where you start in the race as long as you make your way up to the front cleanly. Morales is now heading out here for his qualifying run. You know, a guy that we talked with just moments ago, James Watson, who finished in the top 10 here 1 year ago, did so with the IR18. He said, boy, the transition from the IR18 over to the DW12 in terms of qualifying, it's entirely different. I mean, is that some things that other drivers are dealing with as well?
Yeah, look, I mean, it certainly is. One of the biggest factors of transitioning to the IR18 is you just get all these switches, you get all these little dials, all these options to sit there and really dial your car in. Car's not turning into the corner, that's okay. Don't need to back up the corner entry. You can just add some weight jacket to it. That'll help the rear rotate around. Maybe it's something that you want to do with the anti-roll bars. You really want to transition where the balance of the car is and how pointy it is. Maybe there's some brake ballast, fuel mix. You get all these options. The DW12, you have zero. It's all on the driver. You want to fuel save, you got to roll out of that right foot. That's the only way you can fuel save. You want to get more point in the car? Well, you're going to have to back up your corner entries.
All right, so probably the big question everybody would want to know tonight, obviously with qualifying, in order to get the most out of your car, you've got to be smooth. So how many milkshake references have you been working on here for this session?
Tell you, Seth, the drivers up there, they better be ready, because come race day, I'm going to be sitting up there with them, which is a first for me. I've never driven this DW12 in a race-style scenario. In fact, I haven't done a test lap yet, so I'm really worried about my qualifying session. Milkshake references, they're about the only way that I've prepared for this one, so, you know, I've got about 50 ready to go.
Well, if you get the pole, though, that'll be the proverbial cherry on top, so to speak.
I see you've been practicing as well.
No, you know, you converted me. You've converted me to the milkshake clan. Morales continuing to make his run. Right now, he is scored 10th on our telemetry. Right now, based off of the lap times, I believe he's just completed his first lap. They haven't put it onto the scoring just yet. Let you know where he's currently at once those numbers do come up. Has there been a lot of emphasis for drivers in terms of starting up at the front? Because when we talked with Craig Forsyth, obviously mentioned that when he won the Indy 500 back in Season 2, he said, I just don't want to be in the middle of the pack. Is there that kind of feeling all up and down the board for these guys, or are there some that really don't care if they start towards the rear?
There definitely are some that don't care. So the way that the Indy 500 works, I mean, it's an endurance race, so this is definitely my bread and butter. This is definitely where I feel comfortable. In terms of things, what you need to know is that you've got to get to the end of the race. If you're not there, then you're never going to be able to finish the race, and that's the most important part. However, there is a benefit to starting up near the front. We've seen over the regular season, actually, the one guy I think who's made the biggest and the best run of things has been Robert Moskowitz in the races that we have seen him in. He's started up the front for a vast majority of those. However, what he's done is he's then very quickly, especially in the fuel distance races, is he's tagged himself onto the rear end of the main pack and just sat there and watched and waited and watched some more, waited some more. Oh, look, everyone else is pitting. Now I'm going to put the foot down. And look, that's a viable strategy. The big critical factor is you've got to attach yourself to the end of the lead pack. To do that, you've got to be far enough up the grid.
Of course, too, we've ended up seeing as well drivers that start towards the back be able to work their way up to the front in the closing stages because of the long green flag runs we usually have in an endurance race like the Indy 500 and pit road strategy coming into play. Morales sponsored by Nationwide Insurance. Well, Nationwide may be on his side, but the lap times certainly aren't. Right now, he is clocking in around a mid 228 mile per hour. That is right now on pace the slowest of anybody that's gone out there, including drivers like Mike Tellier and Jimmy Drynan. They were poised to be in the low 229 miles per hour. So Morales looks like, at least for the time being, when he makes his third start in the season, it's going to be pretty close towards the rear of the field.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's something that he'll have to be, aware of. And again, it's not race over. This is a long, long race, especially with the fuel mileage. There's a lot of distance to these things. Yeah, sure, qualifying, it helps position you. And the critical factor is you don't get involved in all the nastiness if you get up and up towards the front end of things. And remember, we're going to have that 3-wide grid scenario. Only race of the season. It's manually set. It's an interesting opportunity. So these drivers are going to have, if you're on P number 1 or you're in P number 2, nothing changes. You're still on the front row. You're still right next to each other. The only difference is if you're P number 2, you've got to allow one more spot to the outside. That's literally the only difference. But for everyone else, they're going to be in a much, much different grid situation based upon where they are. And that is going to play a huge factor.
Peterson, in the overall standings. 2 top 5s and 9 top 10s on the season, now heading out on track. I want to touch on something that you and I were talking about at the close of last week's race at Texas, and the fact that at this point in time, it's looking like it's going to be 3 seasons in a row where the championship is all but decided heading into the season finale, which gives the drivers a little bit more room to be able to be aggressive to try and end out the season with a victory. Competition that we have seen here this year from the front to the back of the pack has been absolutely incredible. I mean, with that being said, and knowing that the leash is off of these guys, really not having to worry about a championship, I mean, what type of Indy 500 are we looking to see? And I mean, you mentioned the fact of going to be making your first start here with these guys. How nervous are you knowing that we could be having maybe one of the best Indy 500s take place this Saturday?
Look, this is my first ever Indy 500. There's no way around that. I don't have the experience of these guys. What I am going to be relying on is the experience of the guys that are, in fact, around me. And I'm going to be picking a mix of Bronson Stafford, Matt Wagner, Rick Ravon. I talk to these guys a fair bit. So, I've got some very, very experienced heads that I can actually talk to. I've done a lot of road course endurance races. That's where my specialty is. That's where my real strong suit is. So ultimately, if I can pick those guys as heads and do what I possibly can, and then add in my own little flavor of road course endurance racing, I think I'm going to be well set. It's tough, and an Indy 500 is so different to anything else that you do because of the mileage in an oval car and the speed differential. So. Look, it's going to be a unique experience, and that's what I signed myself up for, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
We're going to be seeing I'm going to put this in air quotes, but it's almost all but confirmed, eventual champion Rick Ravon on track in the next couple of entries. But interesting thing in the last 2 seasons is that the driver that came into the Indy 500 looking like they were going to wrap up the championship has not won the Indy 500. Nick Degroote won it back in Season 2, but Forsythe took the Indy 500 victory. Of course, last season it was Moskowitz III that won the championship, but Matt Wagner took the checkered flag at the Brickyard. And so, if you're Rick Ravon, I mean, are you feeling the pressure? Because you'd love to be able to end off the season with an Indy 500 victory and the championship trophy, but there's a lot of other guys that are going to be gunning for that victory as well.
I don't think you'll be nervous. I actually think, it's exactly what you said earlier. Effectively, the pressure's laid off. The championship's decided. Nothing can happen here that can change that. So instead of it being a race where the nerves are certainly high, all of a sudden it just becomes this relaxed social get-together with a whole bunch of friends, and that's the critical aspect, and that's what Dark Horse really want to see out of their racing, and it's something that certainly breathes true. And then it sort of goes away in the mid-season as the heat of the competition comes up a mile and a half. So, look, I mean, for Rick, he's going to sit back, he's going to enjoy himself, and it's going to be as if nothing ever happened. There's no championship fight to worry about. It's just an Indy 500. Everyone's going to be out there turning laps and having a good time, and that's the spirit of the place, that's the spirit of the drivers, so it's a really, really good opportunity for everyone to just enjoy themselves.
Just a reminder for everybody that's just tuning in, our ticker up on the top of the screen is showing drivers in relation to the fastest lap they've put down in their 4-lap session. It does not exemplify where they are currently scored in terms of the starting grid. Eric Peterson, we've got scored 7th on our telemetry, but right now he is projected to be 5th in his average lap time. Right now, after 2 laps, 229.706. Just a tick above AJ Hobson and just behind Craig Forsythe. He is now going to drop a spot to AJ Hobson as he just dropped down to a 229.621. So now drops from 5th to 6th on the projection, and we'll see with the final lap coming in if that is officially where he's going to be at or not. He should be, I believe, just ahead of James Watson, so I think he will be P6 currently of the now 9 drivers that have gone out and laid down a 4-lap average.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to be honest. I was at a work meeting this morning. It's I know it's evening for you guys and whatnot over there. I missed my run, so I'm at the tail end of the field. So I'm going to be sitting here. I'm patient. I'm nervous. This is my first laps in Indy. I haven't done any practice laps yet. I'm trying to squeeze them in now. So look, it's difficult. It's tricky. There's a lot to pick up. You're out there on the track on your own. There's not a lot of times where you're out on a racetrack on your own. You've got to make sure that every single corner is driven absolutely perfectly. Normally when you're in race mindset, you're looking around, you're picking up, you're taking signals from the other drivers around you. You're learning little bits and pieces out of that, and you're going to improve based upon that. The drivers don't have that opportunity here. They're literally watching they might be sitting in their cockpit. They might be learning from them in that vein of things. But that's about all they've got to go on.
Looking at Nick Degroote, the Season 2 champion. Comes into this season finale 3rd in the overall standings. 11 top 5s and 14 top 10s in the races he's taken part in this season. 91 points back from a bid to be a 2-time champion, so mathematically not going to be able to do so. But one thing that he has never done here under the Dark Horse banner is win in Indianapolis 500. So you have to wonder if maybe it might be his time. Of course, he was the runner-up here back in Season 2 to Craig Forsyth. Missed out on taking that checkered flag by 52 one-thousandths of a second after leading 94 of the 200-lapper.
And look, I mean, that right there says to me that he's got the pace to do that. Whether or not he's able to pull that off come race day, again, the Indy 500 is just such a unique race. There's nothing else like it, really. Fuel-saving strategies. Each of these drivers have their own way that they go about that. That's something so unique within sport. If you ever have to kick, if you're a kicker in a football team, most of those guys are going to say, yep, look, the way to do it, you set the ball up, you line it up, you come in, you swing your leg, you're going to do it in this specific format, and that's how you'll get the most out of it. That's about it. You can't really change too much about kicking a ball. There's not much you can really do about that. But each of these guys save fuel. They approach corners differently. Their mindsets are different. How many cars am I looking to overtake? What's the largest distance I want to be hanging off the tail end of the lead pack? What's my go lap? All of these laps, all of these numbers, all of these metrics, they're impossibly different. Formula 1 teams run race simulations the entire time. From the day that they show up at the track for their first practice session, they send the cars out, they get data, they start analyzing, they start projecting race scenarios. They still can't get it right. They run hundreds of thousands of simulations. Not a single one of them is ever spot on to exactly what happens. That is racing. That's why we love it. That's why we love races like the Indy 500.
Right now, Nick Degroote currently running 3rd. Last time by, he's at an average of 229.850. Still Henry Bennett and Charles Teed, the only two that have clocked into the 230 mile per hour range. And probably wondering why we haven't mentioned where he finished last year's Indy 500. He actually didn't take the green flag there. Some scheduling issues. He wasn't able to take part in that event, and so we do not have any numbers for him there. So only that runner-up finish in the Indy 500 back in Season 2 is the only start that he has made here in the season finale. Come around here and complete his 3rd lap, I do believe this is. Still holding in the 229.8 bracket range. And just jumped up to 229.952. He might have a shot here. If he lays down a money lap on this 4th and final circuit, he might have a shot of maybe being 2nd, which is actually where he started. On the outside, well, we should say the middle, I guess, of the front row. 2nd place in that Season 2 Indy 500. Started 2nd, finished 2nd. Let's see if he's able to pick it up a tick here on this final lap. Does he challenge Charles Teed for second on the running order? And he does not. Oh, man, he was close. Charles Teed's 230.016 holds up against Nick Degroote's 229.931. So right now, Nick Degroote sits third on the board. Jim Herrick is the next one to head on out. Herrick this season, 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s. 13th in the overall standings. His best finish on the year was a 4th place run, which we saw a couple of weeks ago at the road course of Long Beach. We're waiting for him to head out onto the racetrack here. As of right now, of the drivers that have taken the 4-lap qualifying session, we've had 9 drivers, make that correction, 10 drivers that have gone out there. 2 drivers have gone out but did not complete their 4-lap segment. Mike Tellier only completing 1 lap, Jimmy Drynan completing 2. As we wait for Jim Herrick to get on track, we'll give you a rundown of who is where as far as the current starting lineup, with still a number of drivers yet to go out and set down lap times. Henry Bennett currently holds the pole position. Charles Teed in second. Nick Degroote third. Jim Brooks fourth. Craig Forsyth right now in fifth as Herrick heads out onto the racetrack. AJ Hobson currently sixth. Eric Peterson in seventh. James Watson eighth. Bronson Stafford in ninth. And Joseph Morales right now is in 10th. Jim Herrick in that 40 machine, going to be taking his second green flag of the Indianapolis 500. Last year was his first, where he finished in the 15th position, 3 laps down, but he still finished that race, and that was out of a 25-car field. It's going to be interesting to see how many drivers take the green flag this year as well, as 24 drivers took part in the Season 2 Indy 500, 25, actually correction, no, 30 drivers took part in the Indy 500 1 year ago. Once again, you're watching pole day qualifying for the Indianapolis 500 for the Dark Horse Racing Series presented by Troy Lee Designs. Tonight we set the starting lineup. Saturday, we run the race. This Saturday, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the afternoon, exclusively here on the Flatout Racing Network. Hope you guys join us for the exciting 200-lap season finale, where we will not only have a driver kissing the Art of Bricks, but we will have a driver hoisting the championship trophy at the conclusion. We've also got some great racing coming up here in the course of this week and next week. This Saturday, got the Indy 500. Next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the date's been set for the 7th annual NSRA Holodega special event at Talladega Super Speedway. You will enter 2003 event, and you will be seeing the action as there's a big field signed up for that one. And it's going to be some exciting super speedway racing. I hope you guys will join us for that. That's going to be on Saturday, October 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jim Herrick out here on lap number 2. Right now, Herrick. Well, we don't know where he scored at the moment. Lap times have not come in just yet. He scored 9th on our telemetry right now. He's got the 9th fastest lap with a 39.191. That is below Eric Peterson and AJ Hobson. So right now I would say that he is projected somewhere around the 8th position as the numbers are now coming in. Actually, he is just a tick quicker Then Eric Peterson, man, it's really close right now between himself, Hobson, and Peterson. He's 8 1,000ths slower than Hobson. He is 3 1,000ths faster than Peterson. So, depending on what he does on his final 3 laps, it could be a big shift up or a big shift down. Second lap should be in the books. We'll see how it changes his 4-lap average once it is entered into the database. And it went down. 39.205 on that second lap, 39.176 on the third lap. Currently has him, well, now 1,000th ahead of Eric Peterson. He dropped below Peterson with a 6:06 after the second lap, but then picked it back up on the third lap. So he is still right now in line to be 7th on the board. It's really all going to count with this lap here. And, oh, came in too slow, 39.213. He had to run a 39.173 or better to be able to stay ahead of Eric Peterson. So Jim Herrick is going to be 8th on the board at the conclusion of his run. His average was a 229.615. Next driver to go out is going to be Covey Moore. If we can get some more drivers here that have gone out and turned lap time, see if we can talk with them. If we can get the guy that actually just went out there, Jim Herrick. Hey Jim, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Hey Seth, how you doing?
Good, man. We just saw you out there putting down your qualifying lap time, man. It was really, really close. The speeds we were seeing between you, Hobson, and Eric Peterson just looked like maybe just a tick too slow on that last lap. But, I mean, I've talked about a couple of other drivers previously and asked them, you know, do you feel where you've lost that speed when you're out there, or is it until you actually look up at the scoring monitor and see what laps you put down that you then are able to kind of maybe look back at the run and say, yeah, I can see where I might have been able to gain 100th or 2?
Yeah, you can usually feel it a little bit. You can, especially, you can hear it in the RPM. It'll drop just a tick, and if you pinch it too tight, it'll definitely lose a little RPM and lose a little speed. I think my issue actually was I missed the apex on I think 3 or 4 in I think turn 1, lap 4. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I know I went a little bit wide, and that cost me some speed there. Actually, I think I did it more than once. So
Rick Ravon out on the track here. He'll be taking his first green flag in an Indianapolis 500 later on this week. I mean, Jim, obviously we know that when you're out there, there's an optimal line to be able to run. There's a way that you want to exit off of the corner. Like, what are some of the mental notes that you make as a driver when you're qualifying for an event like this? Because, you know, broadcast colleague Scott Rankin was mentioning the fact that it's kind of an eerie feeling. You're out there, there's nobody out there with you. It's just you, the race car, and the track.
yeah, there's definitely a lot to focus on. That's like you have the long straights to think about it, and then when you get up to the corner, all of a sudden it's like, okay, here we go. You better do this right. And yeah, the main things that I try to focus on are not scrubbing off any speed. You try to really listen for that tire scrub and really roll it into the corner as gently as possible, and then at the same time try and take as shallow a line as possible to cut the distance without scrubbing any speed, if that makes any sense.
All right, so let's ask the big question. Obviously, the Indy 500 to cap off the season this Saturday. What are you looking at as far as your chances? Because we've seen you've had some really good runs on the speedways this season.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a good result. It's a long race, though, and a lot can happen, so I'm going to focus like I always do on just hitting my marks, trying to run a clean race and stay out of trouble, and then see where we are when the last, 20 laps or so comes around.
All right, well, Jim, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us, and forward to seeing what you're able to do when the green flag flies this Saturday.
Right on. Thank you much.
Right now, Rick Ravon out on the racetrack as mentioned. Again, a driver that looks like he is going to have the championship all wrapped up when the green flag flies here this Saturday. Ravon has had an unbelievable season. 5 trips to victory lane, tying him for most this year with Henry Bennett. 15 races he has started. 10 of those finishes have been inside the top 10, 13 of them up inside of the top 5. He has just been absolutely exemplary, and we even saw him put together some good runs when he was battling the COVID epidemic. So Rick Ravon definitely been putting on a show here this season. It looks like we've actually got Charles Teed here, who right now sits second on the board. Charles, I mean, obviously a lightning fast lap time early on in this thing for you. You think this is going to hold up? Have you up there on the front row?
No, those two are wrapped around me there. Nick and Henry are both ridiculous. I mean, Henry probably won't have to go again. That is as fast of a lap as I've done in practice. I could see Nick going again because I think he left a little bit out on one lap that I could see him going and closing the gap and getting right to Henry. But I think I'm for sure in the top 6, so we'll take it and go race with them. I'm not going to go out again. I can't see a reason why. But I wanted to thank you guys for doing this today, to let everyone who's around the country and around the world watching qualifying to be able to join in and watch that aren't on iRacing. So thank you so much for putting this on. I know it gets long and tedious, but we're having a ball. Everyone's having a ball doing this today. So it's close to the real thing.
Not a problem. Now, one thing that we can have you down here, since you've actually been one of the guys officiating out there, getting everything organized, to have these guys go out there in pretty orderly fashion and keep this thing rolling. What's the situation for guys like Tellier and Jimmy Drynan that we saw not be able to lay down their full 4 laps? Are they able to have a second try when everybody's out there and complete their times?
Yep, so everyone's going to have 3 full opportunities. So there's folks that didn't even make their first run. This is going to go for several hours, so people that didn't make their first run are going to still be able to go out and get 3 full runs if they need them or want them. However, once you declare that you want to go for a second run, you forfeit your prior time. So that's why I can't see a reason why I would ever get rid of where my time is, because that's going to be in the top 6 to go try and throw a miracle haymaker at Henry, or if Nick goes out again. So, but the guys that wrecked or had a problem, absolutely to go out again and improve their time to put 4 good laps down.
Obviously, here this season, the level of competition we've seen all the way through the field, it's got to put a big smile on your face. And so how anxious are you to see what these guys are going to be able to do when you turn them loose for 200 laps on Saturday?
Well, we worked on the setup the last couple of days to really kind of bring a different type of race than we've had here. This car drives so well. The way this car is set, it's set for an Indy 500 pack kind of race. So these cars are going to be on top of each other. The passing, the drafting is going to be outstanding. It does get a little bit loose at the end of a run to where people are going to have to move up the track. But I think everyone that's going to watch this and be a part of it is going to have a ball. And we're putting together another bonus for not only for the championship, but for anyone that is able to finish the race with a 0x with no incidents. There's a $100 bill for him to go win this thing. So thank you guys for all you do at FRN there, Seth. And we're hopefully put on a really fun, great race on Saturday.
Not a problem. That's Charles Teed right now sitting second on the speed charts. Hopefully we'll see this hold up, and obviously best of luck to you on Saturday as well. Try and pick up the Indy 500 checkered flag.
And feel free, Seth, to grab anyone in any channel, pull them up and talk to them at any point other than Peterson.
Okay. Got it.
Thanks, buddy. Peterson's even busier than we are down below, so thank you. I just wanted to stop in and say hi. I never get on these anymore because I never finish in the damn top 3.
Well, it's good to be able to
Thanks,
talk
buddy.
to you. Maybe we'll talk to you in victory lane next week,
That's
too.
the goal on
There we
Wednesday,
go.
on Saturday night. We're going to win this son of a bitch.
There you
Talk
go.
to you soon. Bye.
All right. Looking here at Jimmy Drynan back out for a second time. Only was able to put down 2 of his 4 laps the first time out. We just talked there with Charles Teed, and he said that both Drynan and Mike Tellier, who were not able to complete their runs. They're able to fill in a time slot of somebody that may not have shown up when they were slotted in, and so giving them an opportunity to be able to go out there and get themselves qualified for the field. The drivers that are going to be on cue, it looks like Brandon Pasiloqua. There's a name from the past. We saw him run last season quite a number of races, but he is yet to make a start this season. Our buddy Scott Rankin is also queued and ready to go, and you'll notice a name up there as well on our running order, David Leclaire, who ran full-time last season. Going to be making his first start in the year in his return to the Dark Horse Racing Series. And he will be going out there and trying to qualify here for the Indy 500. Leclaire has not fared well in the Indy 500 his past two starts. 24th back in Season 2 and 25th back in Season 3. So certainly obviously looking for some better luck as Jimmy Drynan. Big issue there for the 99. I believe, did he complete all of his laps? I'm not certain if he did or not. We'll double check on that. I don't think he did. So he may have to go out there and try yet again. And we'll see who that's going to be. That's going to be coming out next. I believe it's going to be Brandon Pasiloqua. A couple of drivers that have missed their time slots, and we may see them a little bit later on tonight, include Matt Wagner, Gail Brooks, and we've got Jeff Hysong, who's going to be coming out on the track momentarily as well. Here comes Pasiloqua in the 21. Now we can see on our end drivers that are putting their names back in for a chance to go back out and run another attempt. Those drivers at this point in time would include Craig Forsyth, Nick Degroote, AJ Hobson, Jimmy Drynan, and Rick Ravon. They all want to go out a second time. And as we heard there from Charles Teed, one of the officials here tonight, they go out there, the lap times that they set down, they are immediately erased, which is interesting because you've got Nick Degroote and Rick Ravon currently slotted in at 3rd and 4th in the starting grid. They feel they can do a little bit better. They are pole-seeking here tonight, feeling that they can top the Henry Bennett lap time, the average of 230.123 miles per hour. Brandon Pasiloqua will be making his second Indianapolis 500 start. He ran this event back in Season 2, where he finished in the 7th position after starting back deep in the field in 20th place. So he will be trying to see if he can maybe better that with a top 5 run. He didn't lead any laps in that event, but he did finish on the lead lap. And we will see what he's going to be able to do. Obviously, for a lot of these guys, names that we haven't seen for a while doesn't mean that they are unfamiliar to this style of racing or that they've been away from driving these Indy cars somewhere else. It just means that they have not been making starts under the Dark Horse banners. So, when we talk about someone making their first start or their first start in a long time, it doesn't mean that they're coming in as a complete rookie. They're going to be able to hold their own when green flag flies on Saturday.
Well, Seth, just think of the big difference that some of these guys have, or they end up running the Area 51 IR18 league. And that's just such a different car, and you have so many more adjustments that you can make versus these DW12s.
And the thing I've got to wonder here is, as you bring up the adjustments, and that was a big talking point when they ran the IR18s last season in the Indy 500. They were able to make those adjustments that they needed to, and we saw a lot of drivers actually have it work out for them and being able to qualify further up towards the front. I mean, is there anything that a driver is able to do in terms of an adjustment of how they run their line or something here to be able to find more speed? Or is it just basically textbook qualifying of hold it down to that white line, let it swing off the corner, and hope that the car turns enough RPMs?
Realistically, I'm sure there's a strategy here. Unfortunately, I'm just not smart enough to know it. That's the reason I'm stuck in the pace car. But realistically, there has to be a strategy, and you're going to have to use draft to your advantage. It's going to be like some of the other flat half-mile tracks we've seen this year, just ramped up a lot faster. Think of New Hampshire in a way where line and draft were so dependent, and they're so vital for you to pass. But at New Hampshire, we were heavily braking and we were very slow in the corners. Here, we're almost never lifting.
If we do a GoFundMe, how much would we have to pay you to kind of pull a Richard Petty and actually try and race the pace car against the Indy cars when the green flag drops?
Well, I was trying to convince the Dark Horse admins to let me race or at least trying to qualify the pace car into the show. But unfortunately, I don't think I would meet the 200-mile minimum requirement at the line.
Oh, man, do it for Brett.
Yeah, I'd say if it let me drive the old COT, I think I can probably hit about 210 at the line. Don't think I'll make that first corner, but I'll make the line.
Well, let's put it this way. You'd make the first corner, but you'd also bypass it into the stands.
Hey, splash them.
That's right. Get a test of how durable the catch fence is.
Hey, gotta test Mr. Penske's improvements here.
Absolutely. Right now, Brandon Pasiloqua en route to be, I believe, out of the 12 drives that have gone out, he would be scored in 11th. 29.268, 3 laps in. 4th lap's about to punched in, and it drops to a 229.221. So that is not going to be a lap time that will have him up, I don't think, even inside of the Fast 9. We'll see if Pasiloqua is satisfied with that or if he'll be going out for a second attempt. We are getting to the point here now where drivers are getting lined up for their second attempt. A couple of drivers, actually, including Jimmy Drynan, would be lined up for their third attempt of the evening. And what's some of the things that you can kind of zone in on of, I made a mistake here, I can gain it back? Because, I mean, up here in the booth, it looks like these guys, they're out there, they're turning really fast lap times, but when you're down there as a driver, we heard, I believe it was Jim Herrick say, he could feel off of one of those corners that he made a mistake. How do you know where that area is? How do you remedy that?
I mean, realistically, think of, for those, oh, whoa, Scott Rankin's a little bit in the grass. He decides to go ahead and do a little bit of lawn mowing. But going off of, look at Rankin's lap here. So just his out lap. Right now, he's all the way near the wall, trying to get the maximum amount of area that he can arc down into the corner, or he's going to ride the high line trying to get speed. Could be entirely wrong. But you see that white line all the way near the grass. Scott, I actually think he is resetting his lap. But
I think he is, yep.
But go ahead and look at that white line down here in the corners. With that white line, realistically, in the cup cars or in any sort of stock cars, you're going to see all these cars almost going to that grass, trying to get the maximum amount of area all the way down to that inside, trying to get as much grip as possible. Because these cars, or at least those cars, they slide up the hill. But these Indy cars, they're an entirely different game. Of these Indy cars, I remember last season, at least in the IR18, no one dared put a tire below that white line, because the moment they did, they'd lose the back end just because of grip. I have not seen this season's DW12, but at least in my little bit of testing, I've realized that you could kind of push the limit on that white line, but the car definitely felt a lot more uneasy after doing that.
Wait and see who's going to be the next car out there. Scott Rankin aborting his qualifying run before even taking the green flag. I mean, let's talk about that up to speed. You were observing what Scott was doing there coming off of pit lane. That's another big thing in super speedway racing with stock cars, is that up to speed lap. It kind of sets the pace, sets the tone for how the rest of the race is going to be run. Obviously, there's got to be some drivers here that are pretty adept at qualifying Indy cars that have those little secrets of how they're going to be able to get those extra little bits of miles per hour before they even get around to the green flag to start their session.
That's it. I've heard Rick Ray Vaughn's little secrets that he uses. I'm not going to tell him on camera because I love Rick, but I've heard his little tidbits that he does to make himself better. I've heard Wagner's little tidbits that he does to make himself better. And it's not always a really big advantage. It's not really always a big game. But it's what you're able to do with that small adjustment, maybe in steering ratio, maybe in how their brake bias is, that makes you so much better. And how you feel and how much you trust the car, because you can have the best handling car on the racetrack, but if you have no confidence or no practice or no laps in it, you're not going to push it. And you're not going to push it that hard. You're going to really be conservative and make sure you don't wreck. Where here's the thing, you could be 100% confident in your car, but your car can't handle, or if anything, you're going to plow into the wall next corner.
Waiting to see who the next driver in the queue is going to be. If you look back at the last two Indy 500s, they have been nothing short of exciting. Now, obviously, we had Season 2 Indy 500 end under the caution flag. But let's remember how we got to that point. When Craig Forsyth won that race, the caution flew just moments after he made a 4-wide move on the front straightaway to get the race lead. The wreck took place. He was able to come around, take the checkered flag. So if that theoretically was what decided the race, it definitely was an exciting finish. And then last season, we actually did finish the race under green flag conditions. 18 one-thousandths of a second. Matt Wagner able to edge off Henry Bennett. So no doubt about it, even though this is a place where it's the season finale and the championship is decided, it's the Indy 500. It's the big one on the year, and it does not disappoint.
Absolutely. And a lot of these guys, they just count down the calendar to get to this race where, I mean, here's the thing. Anyone can win Auto Club. Anyone can win New Hampshire. Anyone can win Michigan. But this is really a matter of endurance. You have to be perfect to win a 200-lap Indy 500. And your strategy has to be perfect. Your plans have to be perfect. You have to plan this perfectly. And just getting the opportunity to fight for the win in one of these things, it is so, so vital and so hard to do. I mean, ask our colleague Bronson Stafford. He last season made a run at this race. And man, someone that had so high hopes going in ended up coming away with, I think, maybe a top 5, top 10.
I believe he finished in 9th place in that race. And even here tonight, we ended up hearing from Scott Rankin. He was stating when he was talking with Bronson that Bronson was even struggling with the car here tonight. A couple of drivers, I think, ended up talking with James Watson. He said he was kind of struggling with this car. He's so used to the IR18s, kind of having to get back used to this type of race car at Indianapolis. And we're looking now at Jeff Heisong, the 18. This is a guy that, I don't know if it necessarily means anything, but I would have to think that momentum can play a huge factor into your confidence heading into a season finale. And Jeff Heisong has to have that. You look at his last 3 finishes: 3rd at Iowa, 6th at Long Beach, a 4th place run at Texas last week. Last week's finish jumps him up from 9th to 7th in the overall standings, 3 top 5s and 9 top 10s. I mean, he has definitely come alive in the close of this year.
Confidence is just so vital for all of these drivers. I mean, here's the thing. If you're really on a down note, you're not really looking for all that much. Yeah, you're maybe taking big swings, but you tend to be more conservative if you're kind of down on your luck. I mean, like, man, I just really want to finish. I need this good finish to kind of rebound. But here's the thing. If you're extremely confident, you've had a lot of the last few good races. I mean, you're ready to swing for the fences. Let's try to win this thing. Let's take a gamble. Let's do this. As we have our, looks like our colleague, Scott Rankin, looks like he pulled off the helmet and hopped out of the car. You want to tell me what happened there on the exit of pit road?
Yeah. I just, I made some adjustments. So I was talking to a few of the guys, and they said,
adjustments.
Look, no,
so you're going to be billing Indy for that grass you cut, right?
No. Yeah, well, actually, yeah. Look, it's the most expensive grass cut in the world. Can you just pay me $100 million? I'm going to need a program to fire this up for next season, right?
I can't remember what IndyCar driver did that where he cut the grass, like, I think about 50 feet, and he billed Indy for those 50 feet that he cut off in front of the IR18.
I'm certainly no expert when it comes to qualifying Indy cars, but I do know you have to come around and take the green flag. So I at least have that much knowledge.
Yeah, look, there's a few things that I probably should and shouldn't have done there. So step number 1, I went to make some real adjustments on my inputs because I was just feeling I'm turning into these corners in my practice runs that I went off and did in a testing session, and I'm just feeling like I'm putting too much steering input. Talking to a few of the guys, somebody suggested that you should slow down your wheel in the manual wheel input stage. So I've readjusted, I've recalibrated my steering wheel. I'm feeling this was a smart call. I'm going to be able to be a lot more smooth with my steering inputs. I'll have to turn the wheel a fair bit further, sure, but that means that for each little degree that I'm turning the wheel, the front wheels are turning a lot less. It means I'm putting less heat through the tires. It means I'm a lot smooth. A lot of speed with these things gets scrubbed off by the steering input that you actually put in, so that's where you're losing a lot of the time. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a better lap time. Unfortunately, that makes the steering wheel go very, very light. And the other thing is, I wasn't quite up to speed with the amount that I needed to put the steering wheel input in. So I ran wide on the first section of the pit exit. I started to try and adjust, started to try and correct, but what happens is, as the steering wheel needs to be turned further to get the same adjustment, the steering wheels go lighter because you need less force to travel that. It's a leverage, it's a mechanical advantage kind of thing. Unfortunately,
you slowly regret putting my logo on your car.
there's a lot of time between now and this weekend. Okay, I've got time. I've got time, boss. I can work on it. Trust me. Trust me. Put faith in me. Put faith in me.
I don't know. Do we bring back the FRN curse?
Oh no, that's not that. That took.
I know
like,
it's been broken,
two-
but it's just
that
the
took like
second
2
coming of the
years and
FRN
$500 to fix.
Well, look. It's been broken in regular bodied cars. It hasn't been broken in open wheel cars. Just saying.
We've had 14 drivers take time here. Jeff Heisong just completing his run is 12th on the board of those 14 drivers. Craig Forsyth going out for his second attempt here. I was talking with Matt here, Scott, obviously, about different drivers have different things of how they have their up-to-speed run before they take the green flag. I mean, you've been getting any, little tips from drivers on how to be able to do that?
Yeah, adjust your wheel. And we all know how well that went. Look, no, to be perfectly honest, and something that's happening for me right now is I'm basically just sitting around and I'm watching every other driver do their runs, and then I'm learning something based off upon that. So you'll have a look at the way that Craig runs his outlap and those sorts of things. He'll a lot of it in 5th gear, then shifts up to 6th, and he'll leave it in 6th for the rest of the run. I was originally under the proviso that, as per the IR18, I would need to be shifting in this car to maximize the speed potential out of this. WR12, you don't need to do that. Wow, he gets up close to the wall there. This is a quick run for Craig. I mean, he's doing. I'm seeing things in ye good old metric system, and it looks good for me.
So is there anything to be gained, in terms of miles per hour, shifting from 5th to 6th? Because from what I remember,
you lose it.
That's what I thought, because I thought that 6th gear is more of what you would use in draft. If you want to have the faster RPMs, you run it in 5th gear.
Yeah, so what'll happen in those sorts of formats normally, and particularly in the IR18, is the gears are actually expanded, meaning they have a taller top-end gear ratio. So what? Oh, he caught the wall. Run over. That'll be run over for sure.
Absolutely brushing the wall there off of turn number 2. Looks like he's going to keep his foot in it and try and finish this run out. I mean, he kind of has to at this point in time, because remember, the lap time that he set down for his 4-lap average previously, as soon as he took the green to start this run, it got completely erased. So now he's at least making sure he has a lap time here to be able to fall back on if he ends up having another issue in his 3rd and final attempt. And as soon as I say that, now he's actually going to pull it down to the inside. So he is going to throw this away.
Yeah, so with a 39.5, that is way too slow. That'll mean he will be last, I would say. So, yeah, look, I mean, there's a couple of things, and you can see it. Ultimately, you don't want to overheat the tires. So normally, you might see drivers weaving on a backstretch or something like that. You're not really going to do that in there, because your warm-up laps, they're more than enough to get the heat in the tire that you need, get everything done. So ultimately, it's just about specific driver and the way that they approach their car and the way that they set things up. Obviously, not adjusting your wheel right before you go out on a run is generally considered to be a strong idea. Maybe go and do some practice at those settings before you leave the pits. Yeah, look, I mean, there's a lot of quirks, and I think the biggest thing right now is a lot of these drivers that are towards the tail end of the field and maybe a little bit less experienced, hint, they're nervous. And those nerves creep in, and they make rookie mistakes, and they bill Indy for grass cutting services. So,
I actually want to point out something really kind of off topic, but obviously with the ability of trading paints and iRacing service, you have the ability to put whatever manufacturer you'd like on cars. Obviously, we see Craig Forsyth here with the Ford Cosworth engines, Scott Rankin repping the Honda engines, and a few other drivers in the field repping Chevy engines. The weirdest manufacturer is one that actually Scott will drive. Smart Car. Smart has entered an engine into the Indy 500.
Why would you do this to this man? Now I know why he was cutting the grass.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was using it for what it was designed for. I mean, it was never designed to go on a motor vehicle. It was more designed to go in a lawnmower, cut some grass, and occasionally you might trundle down to the shops, maybe a few blocks away, to go and pick yourself up a drink when you don't feel like walking.
It is also worth noting that Smart has 0 victories this season. That may be a reason for that.
I was going to say, not really surprised, but thanks for the info. Nick Degroote.
Fun thing,
up for his second run here. He was clocked in 3rd, but obviously, as I said, I think he's got some aspirations from the pole. So let's see what he's able to do on this run.
Well,
Actually
Seth,
had
we
him at
saw it last
fourth.
season, where the later they'd run, the faster the times would get. And I think it's the same thing here. We're banking on the track just getting faster as it goes on.
I actually had him in at fourth prior, so I mean, this is a dig at the front row. He clearly thinks that he's got something, unless one of those times was deleted due to having a second attempt. So, look, I mean, there's a lot of learning to be had out here, and look, I mean, running out on your own, yeah, sure. I mean, you're going to be laying down rubber, so the track state will improve. The benefit of one car being out there is definitely very minor, nowhere near as pronounced. So look, I mean, there's a lot to learn. At least they're out there turning laps. If you're gonna delete, the risk here, and this is a big decision that you have to make. I thought Nick Degroote's laps previously were good enough, and I don't think I necessarily would have had another crack until I was guaranteed that was gonna put me, say, 6th or 7th. Then there's a lot to be gained by having another attempt. So this is a curious one for me. I wouldn't have necessarily lined myself up for another run just yet.
Well, I want to thank the guys that have put together the Google spreadsheet for us to be able to see the lap times laid down and everything, and they've actually got where the previous lap are put on there for us to compare. And Nick Degroote, he is setting a flyer, 39.156 for his previous first lap. He ran a 39.140. His second lap on his last run was a 39.145. He just ran a 39.096. Look out, Henry Bennett. That pole might be taken here on this run.
I think he'd be faster if he had a smart car engine in that machine.
Debatable.
Smart, unleashing a new engine package for his race. Here to Fernando Alonso. Engine's better, very much slower than before.
You know, the thing is...
Third lap, oh my goodness, 39.093. That's 3 thousandths faster than the lap he just put down. Compare that to a 39.115 that he put down on his first run on the third lap.
So the critical factor here is if he runs another lap that's very similar to that, I think he'll bypass Henry Bennett just because Bennett's first 2 laps of that run were 1.2s. So you had a 1.26 and 1.28. So Henry Bennett had a huge margin to these laps. He's now equalized out sort of effectively where Henry Bennett's last 2 laps were. If he can complete another lap sub 1, he'll overtake. He'll grab the pole.
Oh, he's got it. 0.96 that time. Or actually, correction, 1.04. But that is going to be enough for him to be able to capture the pole position from Henry Bennett. I don't know what the interval is going to be, but put the 89 top of the board.
I think it'll be, what, a 30 point... What did Bennett do? 30.123. I think this is going to be a 30 point. I want to say a 1.4.
Listen, I'm gonna make my bets. I don't think he's done. I don't think this is his last run. I'd say give him about 30 minutes to cool down. He'll set up another run.
Wait, I mean, Matt, why would you risk it though?
No. This track's gonna keep getting better and better as the time keeps going on. I think he's gonna end up getting beaten and go take another shot at it.
We'll see.
You gotta be patient, though. Yeah, he goes to the top of the board. 230.132. I was nearly right. There is 0.009 of a mile per hour between him and Henry Bennett for the pole.
It's huge. And then really, it was the second lap that he put down in comparison to Henry Bennett that was the huge difference maker. The 1.28 by Bennett and the 0.96 by Nick Degroote. And this might take some other drivers take notice for them of, hey, I was able to go out there, turn much faster lap times than he did about a half hour ago. We've got a shot to improve our position here as well. AJ Hobson heading out there for his second attempt.
One of the big factors here today is if you don't turn a lap, you're starting from the rear of the grid. So maybe I need to learn a few things from these guys.
Obviously, a big thank you to LMC Gear as they are the sponsor for our starting grid and our finishing results here for the Dark Horse Racing Series presented by Troy Lee Designs. And they've got a special thing going on here during the course of not only pole day qualifying, but the Indy 500 this Saturday. Over 1 billion people live without electricity. Access to clean, affordable light and energy is critical to improve health, education, and prosperity. Unite to Light is dedicated to providing low-cost solar light and power to those without electricity across the globe. LMCgear.com and UniteToLight.org want to highlight their new partnership by giving away a Chandler Charge solar cell phone charger to the winner of the Dark Horse Indy 500, as well as a couple of Luke Light solar emergency lights to the second and third place finishers. In addition, Charles Teed will be donating the Chandler Charge to the Dark Horse hard charger of the race, the driver that gains the most positions from start to finish of the Indy 500. You can purchase your own Unite to Light Chandler Charge or Luke Light at lmcgear.com. And if you would like to know more about this program, check them out at UniteToLight.org. For every Chandler Charge and Luke Light you buy, Unite to Light will donate one to a partner organization doing humanitarian work around the globe. So, cool partnership there with lmcgear.com and UniteToLight.org. Check out both of those websites, and obviously a little bit more incentive for these guys. I don't know if you heard this, Scott, but I'm just going to point this out here too. If you finish the Indy 500 with no incident points to your name, you're $100 richer.
Is that for everybody, or only for the first guy that finishes with no incident points?
As far as I heard from Teed, everybody that finishes without an incident points is going to get themselves a Ben Franklin.
I mean, that actually translates to a little bit more than a Benjamin Franklin over here. So, look, I mean, I'm down. I'm game. That's more than I get paid for sitting here and doing commentary with you guys. I'm running in the back, boys.
I think Matt's getting more of an incentive to want to run the pace car now in the race too.
I'd say, like, hang on a moment, like, let's pull Teed in here and like at least get a verification. I said, if it's true, then I may change my plans here. The pace car may run to the left.
I may go out and buy myself a wheel just to run the race. Right now, AJ Hobson in his second attempt. His first attempt had him scored 6th on the board of the drivers that had gone out and taken time, so we'll see if he improves here. We'll have some names that haven't gone out there that were scheduled to run, including Moskowitz, David Leclaire, Jeff Highsong is going to be going out for a second attempt. We've also got Matt Wagner, Julian Altena. That's a new name that we haven't seen. We're going to be seeing him make a qualifying effort here at some point tonight. I mentioned about the fact that 24 drivers took the green flag here 2 seasons ago. 30 drivers took the green flag 1 year ago. Right now, just with the number of drivers that we've got currently lined up to still take time, those that have taken time, and drivers that are currently in the queue, we might be hitting that full 33-car field, guys.
I don't know about that. I mean, currently, what? You could say there's a couple deleted laps. We're looking, I think we're around the 20-car mark at this point in time. I mean, there's still a few guys to run laps, and there's going to be a bunch of guys that I don't necessarily think were available to run laps here tonight. So, look, you might be right, actually.
We were going to talk with him after his first run, but we were unable to. Let's talk to him after his second run. The guy that currently is sitting on the pole, Nick Degroote. Nick, it's Matt, Scott, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right, so we saw you go out there, attempt number 2. You're top of the board. Now, you got to kind of settle a bet here that we've got. I think you're pretty safe. I think that you've got this pole possibly locked up at this point in time. Matt thinks you're going to go out there for a third attempt later on in this one. So who's correct?
I'm standing by that time. Even if somebody beats it, I'm standing by that, because in that run out of 16 corners, I'm pretty sure I nailed 15 of them. So I don't think you can get much better than that. And best in Henry's time. I mean, you're on it if you're running right with Henry's lap times here. So yeah, I'm going to stand by that. I don't know if someone's going to beat it, but there's a lot of time left. Somebody might.
How much are you looking in terms of track condition? Because we know that we saw in last year's qualifying session, the track started to cool down a little bit the longer that the session went on, and drivers that went out late were able to actually benefit from faster lap times.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much that's going to be this season with the static weather, but I'm sure more cars running just is going to do something to the track. I'm not sure exactly what, but with no in-car adjustments or anything, I think the difference is not going to be very much either way. So I'm confident with just throwing it out there now and letting it ride for the next few hours and just trying to hold it there.
Nick, from my perspective, what happens if somebody does go out there and beats the time, but you're sitting P2? Are you happy to just let that slide and you'll just accept the P2? Because the risk of going and getting that lap time deleted to have another run, that's quite high as well.
Yeah, I will. If somebody beats it, I'll keep it at the second run. I'm not going to risk it on a third one and risk going back any further. Like I said, out of 16 corners, I think I nailed 15 of them. So if somebody can nail 16 and get that pull, then more power to them, because it's not easy to nail that many corners in a single run in Indy. It's so easy to be a little too high, a little too low, mess up the entry, and there's so many little things that can go wrong that can just give away thousands every corner, and it adds up over a 4-lap run.
All right, well, Nick, we'll let you go. Congratulations on that great run there. We'll see if it holds up and if you'll be the one leading us to the green on Saturday. Best of luck, obviously, on that, and best of luck when we get to the Indy 500.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Fingers crossed, but either way, I'm confident to be on the front row. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool to lead this field to green flag.
He was on the front row 2 seasons ago. Started second in that event and came up short of being able to take that Indy 500 checkered flag to the eventual winner, Craig Forsyth. We're looking at Jimmy Drynan in the 99. This is his third and final attempt. Whatever he lays down at this point in time is what he's going to have for the starting grid for the Indy 500. Let's see if we can talk with another guy here that's going to be going out for a second attempt momentarily, and that is the driver of the 18, Jeff Hysong. Hey, Jeff, it's Scott, Matt, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us? Another try here. Hey, Jeff, guys up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
So I think actually what's happening here, Seth, is that a lot of these guys, because the qualifying goes on for such a fair while, a lot of the guys are just getting up, they're walking away, they're resetting themselves, which is very smart. If you talk in terms of sports psychology, making sure that you reset, you refresh. I'm going to throw a cricket reference out here, but for me, it's a very appropriate one. Cricket has, and baseball's actually quite similar to this, a lot of phases where you have to switch on for a few moments, and then you have to switch off. What switching off does is it allows your brain to be hyper-focused for micro moments of time where you need your brain to be focused. What a lot of these drivers are doing, they're relaxing. They're behind the pit wall. They're chilling out. They're in their chairs. They might be sitting there with their helmets on in a chair because they've crashed into the fence, a la Fernando Alonso. Definitely one Australian's doing that at the moment. What it is, switch off, relax, reset, make sure you're ready to go for your next attempt if you're going to take one. So it's about making sure that you mentally are prepared, you're there, and you're ready when your time comes.
Jimmy Drynan was able to get a 4-lap run in. It's going to be averaging somewhere in the mid 228 mile per hour range, which right now has him clocked in 12th on the board of the 13 drivers that have gone out there and taken time. Update on AJ Hobson. He did pick up a spot from 6th up to 5th on his second attempt, and officially the lap time put down by Jimmy Drynan is actually going to have him 13th of the 13 drivers, 228.509. More than a 10th behind Joseph Morales. So right now Jimmy Drynan looks like he will be starting, if not at, close to the rear of the field for the Indy 500. We'll see who the next driver that's going to be heading out will be, and I do believe it's going to possibly be, I think, Craig Forsyth heading out there for yet another attempt. This will be his second attempt, I do believe.
Speaking of guys that have run away and hidden from us, I think Matt Rodriguez has run away and hidden from the commentary box. Maybe he's stepped away. He needs to focus down for a few specific moments. And he's opting to do that, take his break, take his bathroom duties, whatever he needs to do. Maybe he stepped away to make himself a milkshake, Seth. Maybe it is milkshake o'clock.
It could possibly be, well every hour is milkshake o'clock, so it's literally 1 minute to 8, so yeah. Shake o'clock. There it is. Now, one thing that you brought up was you were going to be watching some of these guys and how they're taking the corners. A lot of these other guys kind of getting up, walking away. I mean, Is there a level of experience as to whether or not you observe other people's lap times, or is it
For
just
sure.
something that different drivers have as far as how they mentally approach something like this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no way that pretty much, especially for somebody like me who's a rookie, a lot of my learning is I know that I've got natural speed, right? I know I've got these natural skill sets where I'm good. The problem is I haven't driven these cars. I haven't picked up the level of data, the level of input, the level of what I need to be doing with the steering wheel, with the throttle, all of these sorts of things. So I'll be spectating other drivers. What I can and can't see from those other drivers, I can't see precise throttle inputs and I can't see precise brake inputs. But sitting in their cockpit viewing platform seat, that camera, you can see that what they're doing with the wheels, and you can hear what they're doing with the engine. So you can't get precise throttle inputs, you can't get precise braking inputs where those are required, but you can pick up a generalized view of what they're doing, and then you just follow what they're doing with the wheel. And it's all about those minor little things. You're looking at what they're doing. Like I said, I entered this session under the perspective that I needed to run this car in 5th gear. I watched 2 guys do their runs, both of them did it in 6th gear. When you watch something like this, you don't take it from one guy. You're always looking at multiple guys. You go, okay, is this guy, where is this guy running? If it's Rick Ravon at any other track other than Indy and he's running way out in front, I'm watching everything he does, I'm learning it, I'm taking it as gospel. At a track like Indy, I'm looking to compare. I need to have a look. One guy is doing this. Where's he qualifying? What's going on with his car? How's he getting the most out of it? I need to look at another guy and go, yes, he's doing this right. Yes, that guy's doing this right. Put the best of those worlds together.
Ravon out for a second attempt. Was 4th on the board before going out, taking the green, and erasing his previous lap time. Be comparing his lap times on this run to the lap times he laid down on the first run. His first lap, he's looking to set a pace better than a 39.193. Now completing his second lap. We'll wait until the numbers come in, be able to start to put the comparisons together. We saw Nick Degroote be able to get faster on his second run. We'll see if Rick Ravon's able to do the same. Before Nick Degroote actually went on his second run, only Henry Bennett and Charles Teed had lap times up in the 230 mile per hour bracket. Now Nick Degroote joins them, and we'll see if Rick Ravon's able to do the same. He was actually up there 229.8, high 229.8 for his first run. So we'll see if he can gain that extra 0.2 of a mile per hour here on this second attempt.
And the thing about Rick Ravon is he's competitive. He is incredibly competitive. He is constantly wanting to get out there and improve himself. What that means is you will see him have multiple attempts to try and improve himself here. He won't be satisfied with second row.
Looking pretty good right now. 39.170 for his first lap. Compare that to a 193 on the previous run. Second lap, 126. It was a 175 on the previous lap. Right now, he's en route to a 229.9. We'll see what laps 3 and 4 have in store. If he can pick up about a 10th here and a 10th there on these next 2 laps, he'll be up in the low 230 mile per hour bracket.
I mean, and that's good enough. If you have a look at Charles Teed, I believe, is a 230.029. So if he can get himself into the 230s, he's got a shot at the front row. Remember, 3 on the front row here.
Good lap about to come in. Previous lap, that run was a 141. It's a 130 on this run. And now it's that all-important 4th lap. Can he beat a 117, which was his 4th lap on his first run? See if it is. Right now, without the 4th lap put in, he's at a 229.932, so he's right on the edge. And
Alright, lads, I'm going to have to step out just for a few moments. I had to go prep myself for my last run, but I'm keen to see what Rick throws down here.
all right, and it's looking like here we're going to have to just wait a moment to see, but it looks like he may have actually boarded his qualifying run there. I do not see a 4th lap time put in.
Same.
So looks like he
drove it all the way back to pits, so ultimately he had enough fuel for another run there.
So that, at least for the moment, takes him out of the 4th position, erasing his previous lap time, and so he's definitely going to be going out there for a 3rd attempt. As a matter of fact, as soon as I say that, he has been added to the queue. to head out for a third and final time.
All right, no worries. Like I said, I'm going to have to bail out. Good luck, guys.
All right, best of luck, Scott. Looks like the next driver we're going to be having head out onto the track is going to be Dylan Moskowitz. It's going to be his first attempt of the evening, so we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Dylan Moskowitz out of Twisted Trojan Motorsports. Matter of fact, it's been a great season for that team overall. Robert Maleska with 4 trips to victory lane, 5th in the standings. Jeff Hysong, who we talked with earlier, 7th in the standings. And Dylan Moskowitz currently sitting 10th in the overall standings, as there he is heading on out. Let's see if we can kind of solve the mystery here of what happened there with Rick Ravon. Let's see if we can talk with the guy that will more than likely be your champion by the time we take the green flag this Saturday. Hey Rick, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
I got you, Seth.
All right, so a little bit of a question mark there because you were on pace to beat your previous run, but we saw you slow there on the final lap and throw away that qualifying attempt. Gonna have one more shot. So what happened there that made you decide to kind of abort that qualifying run?
I made a little mistake, and I wasn't as quick as Degroote. I knew I was quicker than my previous run, but I wasn't as quick as Degroote. And you know what? No guts, no glory. So I'm going to go out for a third attempt and give it a shot. I think I could do a little bit better. Hopefully I don't mess it up because I was in a pretty good spot up there. But, just going to go out there and give it my best. But, this is all about getting pole. And if you don't get pole, you're a little disappointed. And I think we have a shot at it. So we just figured we'll regroup and go back out there and give it another shot.
All right, so we've run 2 previous Indy 500s. In both of those events, the driver that eventually wins the championship has not been able to win the Indy 500 in the same year. Getting into this Indy 500, looking like you're going to be hoisting that championship trophy. How cool would it be, kind of the icing on the cake, to be able to pick up an Indy 500 victory here for your 6th win on the season?
Well, obviously that's absolutely mind-blowing. When I first joined this league, my original goal was just to win a race because this field is so competitive. And I said, if I can win a race, man, I'll be happy. And we finally got that first win at Pocono when we came close so many times, so many second places. And then I was up there in contention for the championship. And I said, hey, I got a shot at this thing. Now we won the championship, and the last and final goal is to win Indianapolis. So that would just cap off, what I would call a perfect season. A mind-blowing season, a surreal season, because like I said, man, these guys at Dark Horse are so tough, and this would just be incredible if I could do it. So we're going to go out there and give it our all. You got to get to the end of the race to have a shot to win. So, kind of pace yourself a little bit, try to stay up there with the leaders and see what happens, see how the yellow flags fall, and who's going to be conserving fuel, who's going to be going for it. It's just so exciting, man. I can't wait to get it on. I just want to get it on.
I mean, pole day qualifying for the Indy 500 is such a unique thing. It's completely different from when drivers are getting themselves prepared for a race. Drivers have their own little secrets of what they have for qualifying methods. We've even seen when they're not out there qualifying, some drivers will kick back and watch other drivers out there, see if they can replicate or maybe do it a little bit better when they head back out. Other drivers, they just get up and walk away, just kind of get themselves mentally recharged. I mean, where do you fit in that respect as you prepare for this third run?
Well, I have a ritual. I got to pull up my socks really nice and tight before I race. Whether it's qualifying or a race, they got to be tight for one. But as far as the qualifying setup is concerned, I haven't turned a lap, not one lap. I haven't really had the chance to do so. So my first qualifying attempt here was a cold run. I didn't know what to expect, and it's actually a little bit tighter than I thought it was going to be. So I just made a change in my steering ratio, and a couple other things that I won't talk about as far as the line and everything. I'm not going to talk about it, but I knew we could do better. We were doing better, but it wasn't good enough for pole, and I think we have something for Degroote. So, I couldn't get it dialed down into the corner. That was the big problem on that first run. So, again, we're just going to regroup and, give it another shot.
All right, well, best of luck, Rick, and look forward to seeing what you can do on that third and final attempt. But congratulations on having the championship all but locked up. We'll see if you can cap off the year with hoisting a race win trophy in the Indy 500 as well as that championship trophy.
Well, we hope so, man. We're definitely going to go for it. I can't tell you how much we're looking forward to Indianapolis.
And so are we up here in the booth at FRN. Rick Ravon back in the queue. He'll be going out for another attempt. First attempt in the books for Dylan Moskowitz. He's right now clocked in 9th place of the 13 drivers that have taken time. It's going to send out, I believe it was going to be the 67 of David Leclaire, who is sitting at the exit of pit road. So, update for those that are just joining. You're watching Pole Day qualifying for the 4th Indianapolis 500 for the Dark Horse Racing Series, presented by Troy Lee Designs. We have had a number of drivers out there take time. Some of them are pretty happy to sit on the lap times they've laid down. Others are in the queue to go out and make a second attempt. We've actually got a number of drivers that are still in line to make their first attempt, including the driver you're looking at, David Leclaire, Matt Wagner also, Julian Altina. Like also Gail Brooks is here, David Cook, Benjamin Combs. So all of these drivers will be going out to put down their first lap time attempts here in their bid to have a good starting spot for the Indianapolis 500, which is going to be run this Saturday afternoon, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Flatout Racing Network and on ESTV. Again, if you're joining us, up on the top of the screen is showing you the drivers and the fastest lap times they have laid down. It does not give you where drivers are lined up currently for the starting order for the Indy 500. So we're going to run down it here verbally for just a moment. Nick Degroote, after his second attempt, is top of the board with a 230.132 mile per hour 4-lap average. Henry Bennett currently sits in second. Charles Teed is third, AJ Hobson fourth, and Jim Brooks right now in fifth. Eric Peterson is sixth, Jim Herrick in seventh. Bronson Stafford eighth, Dylan Moskowitz ninth. 10th place is Jeff Heisong. Brandon Pasiloqua, Joseph Morales, and Jimmy Drynan are the remainder of the 13 drivers that have gone out and taken time. David Leclaire now on the clock. We'll see what he's able to do. Mentioned earlier that his Indy 500 finishes have not been good. Season 2 was a 24th finishing position. That was dead last in the field. Last season, 25th out of 30 drivers that took the green flag. So certainly looking to have some better luck here this season. His starting positions have not been bad in the Indy 500. He started 10th in the Indy 500 race back in Season 2, so his qualifying efforts have been really good. He just hasn't been able to close it out in terms of the finishing results. Last season, if I recall correctly, drove the 50. This season, we'll see him in the Indy 500 piloting the number 67. As he's crossing the line, I believe that is to complete his second lap. We're waiting for the times to come in for David Leclaire to start comparing him to the rest of the drivers that have taken time. First lap, 39.327. And that is the slowest first lap, I believe, of anybody in the field. Nope, it's actually the second slowest. Joseph Morales had the slowest. So right now, David Leclaire not pacing all that good. Have him projected at this point in time 12th out of 14 drivers. Second lap, 39.289, so he picked it up a little bit, but did not improve his position. He did put a gap between himself and Morales from 0.2 to now 0.3. He's still about 2.5 tenths off of Brandon Pasiloqua for 11th place. Still in the 12th position. Come around here to complete his third lap of his 4-lap run. And bear in mind, for a number of these guys we're going to be seeing here making their first attempts, they still have 2 more attempts to be able to try and improve their positions. The only driver right now, I believe, that has used all 3 of his attempts is Jimmy Drynan. And he currently sits last on the board of the drivers that have gone out and made a run. Nick Degroote, AJ Hobson, they have used 2 of their attempts. And everybody else currently sits with 1. Final lap about to go on the board here for David Leclaire. Looks like he's going to solidify the 12th position of the 14 drivers here, depending on his lap time. I don't think he can pick up 2/10 to edge Brandon Pasiloqua. And he's got about 4/10 back to Joseph Morales as they currently run. Oh, lost a little bit there, but he is going to hold 12th place. 228.965, the first attempt by David Leclaire. I believe that is going to bring up Scott Rankin here, who made an attempt but didn't get back to the start-finish line, so we'll see what he's going to be able to do here on his second run. Of course, we were talking with Scott when he was up here in the booth with us, and he was saying he was out there observing everybody and what they were doing. We'll see what he was able to learn and what he will apply. I believe he is the next driver that's going to be heading on out there. It might actually be Matt Wagner. Nope, it is Scott Rankin. So there he goes. Let's see if he can avoid the grass on the access road here. Got to take a little dig at him there. He'll stay on the pit lane all the way through 1 and 2 and merge onto the back straightaway. And now let's see what Scott's going to be able to do, making his attempt in his first Dark Horse Racing Series event. The big one, the Indy 500. But we were talking with him last week at Texas, and he's got experience with racing with these guys. Been racing in the Area 51 League with these drivers, so maybe having to get used to this car, but certainly not going to have to get used to the competition. Warmed up his tires a little bit there, swerving it down the front straightaway, and now on the clock is Scott Rankin. These will be the first laps laid down by Scott, and we'll see where he's able to be. Kind of snaking it there down the back straightaway. I don't know if that's going to gain you anything. I would think, if anything, that's going to scrub the tires off. Might be experimenting here on this run, and maybe we'll go out for a third attempt and apply whatever he was able to learn about this car in that third attempt. Crosses the line 39.466. That is right now the slowest first lap of any of the drivers here tonight. 2/100 slower than Joseph Morales, who had the slowest lap up to this point. Again, though, we've seen drivers start towards the rear of the field in the Indy 500 and be able to finish up inside of the top 5, top 10. Last year, or not last year, 2 seasons ago, I should say, Alexander Van de Sant finished 4th from a 17th place starting position. Brandon Pasiloqua, who's going to be in the Indy 500 field this Saturday, he started 20th and finished 7th. And Joe McAdory finished up inside the top 10 and 9th from a 23rd place starting position. That is next to last in the field. So it can be done. With how we see the draft come into play and pit road strategy come into play, it is definitely possible for a driver to work their way from the back to the front of the field. Good quality issues there for Scott Rankin, but it didn't hurt his speed. I believe he got scored the last time. We'll see if he did get scored or not. Our telemetry didn't pick anything up. Ooh, good third lap there, though, for Scott. 39.204. That's the 14th fastest lap laid down by anybody here in this session out of 19 drivers. No lap times have been scored for Scott Rankin yet, so we're not able to compare him to the other drivers. Looks like they're just now being punched in. So we'll give you the numbers as we see them. Ooh, a little high there. Off of 4. So I think you've got one more lap, I do believe. Well, I think I actually counted as warm-up laps, so that's my error when I said the 266. 248 for his first lap, 204 for his second lap, 202 for his third lap, He's right now on par for a 229.486 after 3 laps. And that would put him, I do believe, just ahead of Dylan Moskowitz, which would be, I believe, 9th on the board, 8th or 9th. Coming around for his final lap. Is he able to stay ahead of Moskowitz? Needs a 39.194 or lower. And he got it. 39.171. Nice lap time there for Scott Rankin, a 229.555. And that will right now have him sitting 9th on the board of the drivers that have gone out there and taken time. We'll see if he is going to be content with that lap time or if he'll go out for a 3rd attempt, but puts him just behind Bronson Stafford, just ahead of Dylan Moskowitz, and for the time being, inside of the top 10. Who the next driver is to go out in just a moment. If we can talk with some more drivers. Let's get Dylan Moskowitz. Dylan, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yes, I do. How are you guys?
Good. Right now, we've got you, looks like 10th on the board. First question is, do we go out and make another attempt at it? Because it's looking like the later this run goes on, lap times are starting to pick up.
Yeah, I am signed up. I think I'm 7 to 10 away from now, so it'd be a while. But I do, honestly, that was my first laps of practice. All those were my first 5 laps. So that was that. I really don't know how I'll get better. But, I mean, I'm going to try. But there's always that chance you throw it away, too. So it is what it is. But I'm not too worried about where I start as long as I'm in the field.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You know, there are some drivers, they want to qualify up at the front of the field. There are other drivers that it doesn't really matter where they are in the field. They eventually going to find their way up to the front. I mean, what are you expecting here with these DW12 cars when we eventually take the green flag on Saturday and drivers' ability to be able to make their way up to the front under green flag conditions? Do you think that's where the passes will be made, or do you think pit road's going to play more of a factor into gaining track position?
I don't know about pit road. I feel like wrecks and passing, yeah. But for me, I've done one 500-mile race ever in any game, and it was this year. And I feel like I'm not too worried about it until after lap 120 because it's such a long race. Like, you just want to still be in it, still be on the lead lap especially. And, I mean, you can get a lot done in 80 laps. Now, if there's 30 cars, it might be harder if you're in the back. But I feel like you just want to survive for a while. Like, some of these guys are going to go real hard, real early, and I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to do, at least from my perspective. So, to answer your question, I mean, I think it's going to be more on the track than pitting because, I mean, everyone's going to have to take 4 tires and fuel, and you're going to sit there. But I guess you could pit early. But I feel like survival is going to be important.
You know, we've seen this season, you've had a really good runs, especially towards the close of the year. 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s. I mean, 10th in the overall standings. Just how cool would it be to end out the year with a trip to victory lane? Because, you know, we know that you race with Robert Miliska III, a championship driver that's won number of races this season. I mean, how much leaning on teammates do you do in terms of getting around this racetrack, or do you all just kind of have a different way of how you approach this historical place?
We help each other some here and there, a lot of strategy, but Robert's kind of on another level. I mean, he's really good, and quite frankly, and I've been very vocal to my friend group that I suck at Indianapolis. I've never felt super confident, at least in the IR18. It's been so long since I've ran a DW12 here, I can't even remember, but I've never really had confidence at this track. So for me, I'm not necessarily looking to win. It'd be nice, but it just seems like I'd need a lot of things to go my way to get there. I don't know if Robert's even racing. I don't think he is. But don't quote me on that. But honestly, one of my other buddies that I think you should watch for this race is going to be Nick Degroote. This dude is an animal, and he told us earlier he had 112 fixed wins here between the cars. So, yeah, I don't know. Put your money on him.
Well, right now, he's top of the board, so yeah, we definitely keep an eye on him. But hey, we'll keep an eye on you as well, because I'll tell you what, in these type of races, especially where there's not going to really be a championship on the line, just a chance to take a checkered flag. As you're up there in the conversation, you never know what might happen in the Indy 500. So best of luck to you, Dylan. We're looking forward to seeing what you're able to do when we eventually go green this Saturday.
Thank you very much, guys. And just to say, I really wasn't planning on doing this race, and because of job changes that are happening literally in the next week, I think I'll be running. So it's nice to do it. I've done 2 seasons, never done this race in this league. So hopefully I still do it. Still might not, but probably will. It should be fun just to see how it goes, but I really have no idea what to expect. So.
All right, well, absolutely. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, looking forward to the Saturday. And yeah, that was something I was going to bring up, was the fact that this is actually the first time that Dylan Moskowitz is scheduled to take a green flag in the Dark Horse Racing Series Indianapolis 500. He did not run this event in Season 2 or Season 3. His teammate, Jeff Heisong, back out there for a second attempt in the number 18. Now en route for a 229.471 after 3 laps completed, and 4th lap comes in, 229.508. Going to put him just behind Scott Rankin, so that drops Dylan Moskowitz, who we just talked with, outside of the top 10, and puts Heisong into the 10th position, improving him by 1 spot. He was in 11th before he went out there for the second attempt. Looks like the next driver out is going to be a guy who knows a thing or two about winning here at Indianapolis. He is the defending Indianapolis 500 winner, Matt Wagner. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Wagner has taken part in both of the Indianapolis 500s. Matter of fact, back in Season 2, he led us to green. Brought it home in the 11th position after leading 12 laps. Last car on the lead lap, but a driver that we know can definitely have some speed when it comes to qualifying. We'll see if he's going to have an answer possibly for the lap time laid down by Nick Degroote, who's at the top of the board at this moment in time with a 230.132 mile per hour 4-lap average. Still waiting here to see who the next driver is out. I do believe it is Matt Wagner. And while we wait to find out who the driver is indeed going to be, as there it is, Matt Wagner down and away, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to go FRN side by side, and then we'll be back to tell you what Matt Wagner has laid down here for his first attempt in the Indy 500 grid for Season 4.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCar. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an Indy car. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you.
Welcome you back to Pole Day qualifying for Season 4 of the Dark Horse Racing Series Indianapolis 500. Observing Matt Wagner, the defending winner of this race from one season ago, out there for his first attempt here tonight. Right now, clocking in at a 2:29.791, which has him fourth on the board. About maybe 3.5 tenths of a second off of the pole lap, currently held by Nick Degroote at a 230.132 miles per hour. Matt Wagner does have 2 more attempts should he choose to use them. Sixteen drivers have taken time at this point. And we still have a number that haven't even gone out for their first time, including, I believe, the next driver up, which is going to be Julian Altena. We've also got Gail Brooks coming up, Benjamin Combs. All these drivers going out to make their first attempts. And then we have drivers in the queue. They'll be going out for their second attempts. And I believe for one driver, third attempt. Eric Peterson, Rick Ravon, Craig Forsyth, David Leclaire, and Dylan Moskowitz. And I believe 2 of those drivers would be going out for their second attempt, as Julian Altena is indeed going to be the one heading out here for his first attempt of the evening. For Rick Ravon and for Craig Forsyth, I believe this will be attempt number 3 for both of them. So it will be their third and final attempt. It'll basically be their money run. Their previous lap times will be erased, and they will basically have to settle with whatever they get on their final attempt. These drivers all trying to make sure that they have a solidified spot in the field. There is going to be, at a date in between now and Saturday, where they will have a last chance qualifying day as well for drivers that may have missed the qualifying session here tonight. Theoretically, for the IndyCar fans out there, a bump day, as Julian Altena, have to wonder if Julian might fit into the same category as James Watson, who we talked with earlier on tonight. The fact that he's never run a full season here in the Dark Horse Racing Series. Did run in last year's Indianapolis 500, but very familiar with the drivers in this series, just based on the fact of the close-knit community of the IndyCar drivers on iRacing. Be talking with him in just a little bit. Talk with Matt Wagner. Let's see if he's going to go out for a second attempt, because that first run looked pretty good. Put him P4. Let's see if he's got anything for Nick Degroote in this poll. Matt, Seth up here in the F-Rim booth. You got me?
I got you loud and clear.
All right, so Season 2 started on the pole for this race. Season 3, you go to victory lane. Right now, sitting P4 after your first attempt. You got anything to be able to get your second pole here in the Indy 500?
Yeah, I do. That was the first time in these conditions I've ran. In practice, it was pretty nice. Now that I've learned something, I went on track the first time. I'm a little bit disappointed. I bobbled a couple times, as you guys saw on the broadcast there. But I maybe have something for Nick, but he is very fast, very competitive. But if I get on the first row, that would be awesome. That would be my goal. Just get on the first row.
You got to beat Charles Teed to get up there at the moment. Like that's a phenomenal run from Charles Teed.
Oh, Charles Teed? Oh, you know it's his birthday, right?
So you better not go and have another run, and you better not let him off the. You better leave him on the front row, Matt. Don't you take that away from him on his birthday.
I will. Watch it. I'll try. I'll try and do my best. But I did not get the car down the white line. That's my main focus, and I kind of screwed that all up. And I was watching Nick's qualifying lap and all in the replay, and it was very, very fast, and he was right at that white line where you need to be. He's just so consistent. I wish I can drive like him here. He's good.
Mentioned the fact that, coming into this race, the defending winner of the Indianapolis 500 photo finish last season, just how much motivation is there now to try and go back-to-back?
Oh, the hype is real. I'm pretty excited for Saturday. Everybody's gunning for you, and you got a target on your back. It's a great feeling that you've accomplished something, that you have won the 500 here. After I won that race last year, it was what a relief. I was just astounded. As you guys remember, I went a lap down early, just a connection, and at that thought of time is just never give up. And I'll do the exact same thing here coming in this weekend. I'll never give up.
All right, well, Matt, obviously, best of luck to you. See if you can better Nick Degroote there. Car looked fast there on that first run, as you said, your first attempt there in these conditions. So now with that information under your belt, we'll see if you can put a blazer together on the second attempt.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm going to watch my teammate here in a second or two, see how well he does. I'm really hoping that guy does well.
Absolutely. That is Brooks in the 71, who is just now pulling to the exit of pit lane. This will be Gale's first attempt of the evening. You just saw the finishing up of Julian Altena's lap, and right now he is positioned in the 8th position on the grid with a 229.633 mile per hour 4-lap average. As you heard, Scott Rankin back up here in the booth, and Scott, I'll tell you what, you looked pretty good out there when you finally took the green flag and got some laps under your belt. Are we going for a third attempt, or are we happy with where we're at?
Well, I mean, I was P9, and then a few guys have sort of jumped ahead of me. So now that I'm P11, look, there'll definitely be another attempt. I learned a lot from that one. I definitely think I can get all 4 laps in the 100s. So that's going to be the target here. Just get out there, turn some more laps. Look, at the end of the day, it's all about experience. And if I get out there and I'm learning something every single time I'm out on track, that is the absolute goal. Any results that come my way, those are just bonuses in my mind.
Now, obviously, we've talked with a couple of guys, and they've stated, they're playing it close to the chest on some of the things that they do to be able to get these fast lap times. But sometimes there's things that just can't hide from the camera. We saw you kind of swerve the car back and forth a little bit, coming to the start-finish line on the first lap and also on the back straightaway. What was going on there?
That's me just testing out my my steering ratios. I just wanted to fuel the car, make sure that the car felt good underneath me. I wanted to put a little bit of extra heat in the tires, just make sure that I was comfortable when I went onto that first lap, so that when I turned in at turn 1, there was no sort of tentativeness. I was just throwing the car around, making sure that I'm looking for every single opportunity that's out there. I'm trying to get the most out of the car, and you can't do that without confidence. So it was confidence building.
Gale Brooks out on the racetrack, and I remember back in Season 2 when Matt Rod would get on my case for talking about him, and then he would run into issues, always stating that I was the one that jinxed him. Well, after this season, I'm almost wondering if he's correct, because it's been a great year for Gale Brooks. 6th in the overall standings, 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s, actually almost pulled off a fuel strategy win a couple of weeks ago. I mean, definitely been on a momentum streak in the latter half of this season, and no pun intended, but maybe one of the dark horse drivers to keep an eye on here for possibly getting this Indy 500 victory.
Damn it, Seth! Look what you've done. You've thrown him. He's not going to finish the race now.
The
what have you
jinx
done
was
to the
in
man?
Season 2. The jinx was in Season 2.
No,
He's doing fine in
it's back.
Season 3.
You've brought it back again. Look what you've done. This is all your fault, Seth. You only have one person to blame if he runs into trouble now, don't you?
I do. I'll take solace in the fact he's got a faster pair.
Yeah, look, I mean, and he's definitely, I don't know if coming of age is the right term, but he's definitely been improving right the way through the season. These cars are an interesting little thing. They're not steady, they're not simple, they're not you just show up and race every week. They require practice, and I think that he's been putting in that work behind the scenes, and it's certainly coming to fruition. He's putting a lot of time in the car, and the confidence, I think, is the critical factor. The confidence to just sort of push himself that little bit extra forward. And I tell you what, Seth, the proof is in the pudding. Or perhaps in the milkshake.
The milkshake, aha! There you go. Yeah, I was wondering too if it just could be, the team orientation over there at Area 51. You've got Gale Brooks, Jim Brooks, Matt Wagner. Wagner, a 2-time winner. Jim Brooks, almost the victory in New Hampshire. All 3 of those cars have been running consistent all season long. All of them up inside of the top 10 in points. Actually, Jim Brooks just 1 position back, but that's only by about 10 points. I mean, all 3 of them have been running very well here this year, have really good numbers, and that can also add to the confidence of a driver week after week.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, especially the biggest thing that he needed was just track time, and now he's got that under his belt. Now he's starting to show off those results. There's positives in both directions. I think the biggest thing now is that Wagner's got somebody that's going to push him. Wagner's got somebody that's going to start screwing the best results out of him. And they're a really, really fun group to just be out on track with as well. Matt Wagner, honestly, one of the best coaches or best guys for teaching that's out there, because he's laid back. He's happy to share his. If you come asking and you come with the mindset of, I want to learn, I want to improve, Wagner's going to give that to you every day of the week. He's a very, very important part of this league. He's a very, very important part of the IndyCar scene. So to have him alongside, there was no doubt in my mind that Gale was going to get there eventually, and he's starting to come through the ranks like you wouldn't believe.
15th right now is where Gale Brooks is projected. The 4th lap has not come in yet. Right now, 3 laps at 229.383, and it jumps to a 4.22. Does not improve that position. So, first attempt in the books for Gale Brooks. We'll see if he'll be going out for a second attempt. Much like Matt Wagner, first laps that he has turned here under these conditions, and we're probably going to see a number of drivers that have just in the last 15 to 20 minutes put their first attempt down, probably going back out there, applying what they learned on the first run and making a little bit of improvements on the second run. Here's Benjamin Combs in the 77. Out onto the racetrack. Benjamin Combs going to be making his 8th start on the season, 4 top 10s in the 7 previous races that he has started. And Benjamin Combs, top 5 run here back in Season 2. Didn't fare quite as well here in Season 3 when he finished in the 26th position. So, there's a lot of drivers when I look here that have made both Indy 500s. They've been on both sides of the coin. They've had a good run, they've had a bad run.
Yeah, look, and that's definitely a huge part of it. I mean, you don't get experience by sitting in the pit lane and not getting out there and not turning laps. So, look, I mean, you have a bad year. Well, the benefit is that when that happens, there's a lot of learning to take away from it. Maybe you were put in a situation that you haven't been in before. That's a critical part about it. If you haven't been in that situation before, you haven't been asked to learn a very sort of specific set of circumstances, you're not going to know how to react to them until you're actually in the moment. Some drivers had that natural skill. They get out there, they react to the set of circumstances that are in front of them, and they get it right first time around. They're very lucky. Not a lot of drivers can do that. That's a very unique skill set. What a lot of the drivers have to do is they go, look, I failed that one. I didn't know something. I was making the judgment without one piece of vital information. And therefore, what's ended up happening is they've failed. They've gone back to the books. There's a lot to learn from that. So that's perfect. They'll come back out here. They'll get back on their horse. They'll go as hard as they can for as long as they can. And they'll see what they can make from it this time around.
See if we could talk with Julian Altena, who's going to be also making his Dark Horse Racing Series debut this Saturday in the Indy 500. Julian, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hello.
So obviously, going to be making your debut this Saturday, sitting P8 on the board. I mean, how are you feeling right now in terms of where you've got this thing positioned? You're going to be going out there for a second attempt.
Yeah, I'll be going out for a second attempt. Never really driven this car though, a few times, but not many times. So just gonna do a few runs and hopefully, if I even get to my third one, hopefully get a nice solid starting position out of it.
Julian, I mean, I'm in that same boat as well. This is my first time out here actually in the DW12, and it's a unique car to drive. It's not really very similar in many ways to the IR18. Do you have much experience in that car? How are you finding the car? How are you finding the conditions? How are you adapting?
I have to say the adaptation is going all right. I guess on the ovals like Indianapolis, it's a little similar because it's the same chassis after all, but just a different aero kit. So yeah, I mean, I've driven the IR18 since I got onto iRacing. It's been the reason why I joined iRacing in the first place. The IR18 that is. So yeah, I've got loads of experience on the oval, so hopefully that's going to help me a little bit in this race. Also did some IRO5 stuff, so hopefully all that experience should get me a solid starting position, which is all I'm here for really today. I'm just hoping not to get bumped and not be in the midfield.
A couple of guys that I talked with earlier have made either limited starts or have only run the Indy 500s, but they know a bunch of these guys from other open wheel races on iRacing. Are you in that same boat? Are there guys in this field that you're familiar with the racing style, or by the time we take the green on Saturday is like the first maybe quarter of this race going to be learning what the racing styles of the guys around you are?
Not really. I think I know about half the drivers in the field right now, so yeah, not really too worried about that. Of course, there's the new guys that I don't really know, but I'm confident that that they know what they're doing. So, yeah, not really worried at all.
All right, Julian. Well, best of luck on that second attempt. We'll see if you can climb your way a little bit higher there inside of the top 10. Obviously, best of luck as well in your Dark Horse Racing Series debut this Saturday in the Indy 500.
Yes, thank you.
Benjamin Combs just finishing up his first qualifying effort of the evening. Going to be clocking in, it looks like, nope, correction. He did not finish all 4 of his laps. He only finished 3 of the 4, so a throwaway attempt there for him, and undoubtedly he'll be going out for a second attempt.
Yeah, look, and I mean, again, first attempts on everything. I'd be waiting for a lot of these guys to come through for the third attempt because you can't come through for a 4th attempt. So, you know, we'll see how they go.
It's interesting because I think now this makes 3 drivers that have basically just slowed the car and parked it after the 3rd lap, feeling that they made a mistake there that's not going to be able to be remedied with their 4th and final lap. Rick Ravon did it earlier. Combs does it just now. I'm almost wondering, is that 3rd lap so important for you to get everything that you possibly can? Is that 3rd lap maybe the most important lap for that entire 4-lap run?
You definitely have the information in your books whether or not it's going to be a good run. So, whilst it may be critical, it's not, you know, everything, if you will. Look, for the third run, you basically settled in. We've seen with a lot of these drivers that their fourth lap has been back at a few back a few tenths sort of thing, or not even a few tenths, a few thousandths, if you will. So I would say it's not necessarily guys looking at their laps and going, it's not good enough. I'm thinking that they're not happy with themselves. There's something else that's going on potentially that's changed the way that things are. So I don't take too much out of that, Seth.
Peterson out for his second attempt. Before he took the green flag, he was slotted 7th with a 229.647, so we'll see if he's able to improve on that. Currently just behind Jim Brooks and just a tenth ahead of the guy we just talked with, Julian Altena, so we'll see if it's going to be an improvement for the driver of the 36. Looks like at this point in time, all the drivers in the queue will be going out for their second attempts. Rick Ravon, Craig Forsyth actually would be both going out for their third and final attempts. David Leclaire, Dylan Moskowitz, Matt Wagner, Julian Altena, and Benjamin Combs also in the queue. They'd be going out for attempts number 2. So as of right now, no driver for their first attempt is currently in the queue, and it looks like the only driver I'm seeing right now that would fit that criteria would be the driver of the 24, Rick Ravon's teammate David Cook.
I really think Cook's waiting. Cook is around. He is definitely sitting in there with the drivers. He knows what's happening. I think he's just watching. I think he's just learning. You know what? Would not surprise me in the slightest to see him go out there and beat his teammate Rick Ravon's laps. I think they're working together and going, hey, look, I mean, the thing is, we're going to let one of our guys go once, run all 3 of their runs. The data, we're going to have a look at what they did, where they could have improved, what they need to do to get these laps done. Because you've got to remember, Seth, all of these things, when you're running at 200 plus miles an hour, 370 kilometers an hour, it's an excessive amount of speed. All of these things happen so quickly. What they may actually be doing is watching all of Rick's runs in replay. Where was he fast? Why was he fast? What's generating that speed? What do I need to do? And in actual fact, David might be running that through with the steering wheel in front of him, practicing those inputs at exactly the same sorts of times, looking for ways that they can improve. That's the benefit here. The only downside, he won't have any wheel feedback whilst he does. He won't have any pedal feedback. None of that will really matter. So it's all down to he might be just poring over the best laps that he's seen so far today and mimicking those inputs.
We've seen drivers go out for a second attempt and improve their position. This is the opposite side of that coin. Eric Peterson, his first 2 laps have been 4 100ths and 7 100ths slower than his first attempt, so he is trending in the wrong direction and may drop out of that 7th position where he was currently at before he made this run. This may drop him 1, 2, maybe even 3 spots down just inside of the top 10 when he reaches the conclusion. Right now en route for a 229.514. Compare that to the 229.647 that he ran on the first attempt.
Alright, Seth, I'm going to have to leave you with it. Unfortunately, some work stuff's come up, so I'm going to have to go and deal with that and get some lunch in my belly. So I'll leave you with it. I'll see you on the flip side.
Alrighty. So Eric Peterson's final lap comes in 39.174, so it's a 229.571. I believe that is going to put him right now in the 11th position, if I'm not mistaken. So that is a net loss of 4 spots for Eric Peterson from the first attempt to the second attempt. Correction, 3 spots he's going to lose. He's going to drop to the 10th position. So going to drop him back deeper in the field from where he would have started. That's the risk that you run when you decide to go out there for a second attempt. You cannot fall back on what you had previously. You have to stick with what you've got there because that previous run is completely wiped out, completely erased. Next driver to go out, I believe, is going to be Rick Ravon. And there he is, just now leaving pit road. Mentioned David Cook is currently in the server, yet to put down his first attempt, another driver as well. that just recently joined the server and has yet to put down a 4-lap average attempt is Nicholas Winook in the 33. So we'll see at what point those two drivers will be heading out onto the track. And for David Cook, it will be the next 7 drivers from now, as his name was just added to the list. Again, these drivers all trying to get the best starting positions possible for the Indy 500. There is a last day qualifying session that will be taking place between now and this Saturday. Green flag for the Indianapolis 500 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, the 23rd of October, as I couldn't tell there off that angle if Rick Ravon may have brushed the wall off of 2. But he ran 3 of 4 laps on his first attempt, slowed it down, brought it to a stop, and pretty much aborted his qualifying attempt, stating that he felt he could do it a little bit better. Feels he has something there for Nick Degroote, so we'll see if that is going to be the case. This is Rick Ravon's 3rd and final attempt as well, so this is his last opportunity to put down a money lap to try and lead the field to the green from the pole position in about 3 days' time. We'll look here and see, well, I was going to see if we could talk with Gail Brooks, but looks like he is currently away from his setup, so we'll hold off on that. Brooks will more than likely be going out for a second attempt, I would assume. In here with Rick Ravon's last lap times, which, again, there were only 3 of them, and actually it looks like they were not scored, so we do have his lap times from his first run. His first run had a 39.193. He's bested that with a 1.70. He then ran a 1.75 on his second lap, 1.73 on the second lap this time. So right now trending in the right direction, about 2/100ths faster than his first attempt. His third lap was a 39.141. So let's see what he's able to do this time around. Can he get it down into the 1.4s, or will he be able to maybe do a little bit better? Oh, looks like it was a 1.49. We'll double check and see what the officials have. They have it as a 1.49 as well, so 8/1000ths slower comparison of third lap from attempt number 1 to attempt number 3. Right now he's at a 2:29.803 as scored. That would put him 4th on the board currently. The only driver to be in the 2:29.8s. Below him, Matt Wagner with a 2:29.7, and above him, Charles Teed with nearly a 2:30 flat. Final lap, what is it going to be? His final lap on his first run was a 39.177. This time it's a 1.32, so it was slower. Correction, 1.31. So it was slower there than his first attempt, but it is going to put him P4. And that's where he will stay. His 3rd and final attempt. He is out of attempts now, and he's just going to hope that that's enough to keep him up inside of the top 5. 29.851. 229.851, that is, miles per hour for Rick Ravon on his final attempt. And one more driver now about to make his 3rd and final attempt coming up next, that being Craig Forsyth. This will be his last opportunity to basically determine where he is going to be in the starting lineup. Ravon brings the car down pit lane. We'll see if that 4th place starting position holds up or if anybody's going to be able to top him and drop him further on down in the running order. I believe Craig Forsyth is the next one on the qualifying queue. That's what it's saying on my list here. David Leclaire may leapfrog him, though. We'll see if it's going to be the 27 or the 67 that goes out. Because it will be Forsyth. Waiting for him to get onto the racetrack here. His 3rd and final attempt. Take a look at the queue and see if any new names have been added, and not since David Cook's name was put in has a driver been added to the queue. So let's give you an update of the running order as we wait for the 27 to get onto the racetrack. Right now, Nick Degroote still holds the pole position. Henry Bennett in 2nd, Charles Teed in 3rd, Rick Ravon 4th, Matt Wagner currently 5th, AJ Hobson 6th, Jim Brooks 7th, Julian Altena in 8th, 9th Jim Herrick, and Bronson Stafford currently completing the top 10. Eric Peterson's 11th, Scott Rankin in 12th, Jeff Heisong 13th, Dylan Moskowitz 14th, 15th, Gail Brooks 16th, Brandon Pasiloqua 17th, David Leclaire, Joseph Morales in 18th, and Jimmy Drynan in the 19th position. Those drivers have all taken time. 2 drivers we are waiting on to complete laps would be Nicholas Winook and David Cook. That rhymes and makes me chuckle inside a little bit. So it looks like a total of 21 drivers currently would be qualifying here tonight. That is barring anybody else coming in, as this session's still going to be going on for still about 4 hours. Well, we have talked with drivers after their qualifying attempts. Try talking with a driver before his qualifying attempt and see what he has learned and what he plans to apply when he heads out there onto the racetrack. Hey, David Cook, Seth Cole up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Hey, Seth, I got you, buddy. How's it going?
Doing good. So I noticed a little while ago, talking things over with your teammate Rick Ravon in the Patriot Speed team room. Obviously, he just went out there, put down the 4th fastest lap time on the board. I mean, how much information is being passed? How much have you been able to pick up? And what are you going to be kind of looking for here on this first attempt as we see your name's been added to the queue now?
Yeah, I think turn 2 is going to be the big decider here. It seems like guys that can hit turn 2 perfectly or shooting up the pecking order there pretty quick. So we'll see. Yeah, we talked it out a little bit. You know, I just kind of wanted to see how the track felt, the qualifying setup felt, and we'll see what we can do here. You know, I'll take what I know from Indy and see if I can apply it. But I'll tell you what, man, these guys are super fast.
We know that in a qualifying session like this, it's all about momentum, keeping those speeds up to get that 4-lap average. But what are those 4 laps? Just curious, is there a lap in particular that you focus on the most to make sure you get the most speed out of the car?
Probably lap 3, I would think. It just depends. You know, hopefully I don't make any mistakes out there and I can just have a clean 4-lap run. So we'll see. Probably lap 3 or lap 4 if lap 3 doesn't pan out for me.
All right, well, David, best of luck. Got a couple more drivers going out there before you. Give you a little bit more time to be able to think and strategize. But best of luck. We'll see what you're able to do in terms of your first attempt and see if you're going to be satisfied with that or maybe go out for a second or third time.
Yeah, hopefully just the first time. We'll see here. All right, thanks, buddy.
You know, it's really fun when you observe something like this, you know, as a broadcaster and as a fan. Because you get questions answered just based off of observations that you wouldn't normally know. I mean, I made the observation there when we saw Benjamin Combs only run 3 laps and park it on the 4th lap. Rick Ravon did that earlier in the session, and I wondered if maybe it was that 3rd lap that a lot of the guys look at as the one that they really got to lay down the best lap time out of the 4. Right there. Talked with David Cook. He said lap number 3 or lap number 4. That's the ones that he focuses on the most to get the most speed out of the race cars. So, pretty cool. When you have those questions, you get the answers directly from the drivers who are out there experiencing just what these race cars are doing. Craig Forsyth out for his 3rd and final attempt there, as you saw. Right now, he is currently scored 8th on the board. 229.691. He is 8/100ths behind Jim Brooks, who is 7th in the current running order, so we'll see if he's going to be able to pick up time in an attempt to get up inside of the top 5. Of course, Forsyth, the former Indy 500 winner back from Season 2, started that race from the 4th position. He has 600ths in hand over Julian Altena, who is behind him in the 9th position, as they currently are scored. Waiting for his 2nd and 3rd laps to come in here, as we only have the 1st lap to go off of, a 39.183. That is 3/100ths slower than his 1st lap of his 1st attempt. He had a 1:36 for his 2nd lap. That number coming in now here for this run. And it's a 1:41, so 5/100ths slower. His 3rd lap on his 1st run was a 1:33. So we'll see what he's able to do there. He is trending in the wrong direction. I don't recall. It was very early on in the session where Forsyth was scored when he went out for his 1st attempt. Since then, numerous drivers have gone out there and drivers have leapfrogged him, including Nick Degroote and Matt Wagner. So I'm not certain where he was originally scored after his 1st attempt. I think I said it was a 1:33. I'll double check on that for his 3rd lap of his 1st attempt. Yes, it was. It was a 1:31 this time, so he beat it by 0.02, and then a 1:22 for his last lap in comparison to a 2:86. So he did better on the 3rd and 4th laps, which is going to equal out to a 229.919. That is a good pickup there in the final 2 laps for Craig Forsyth, and that moves him past Rick Ravon for 4th on the board. He will now be the only driver in the 229.9s for miles per hour. Rick Ravon with the 229.8, and then Wagner, Hobson, and Jim Brooks all with the 229.7s. Next driver, I believe, on the queue to head on out is going to be David Leclaire, I do believe. This will be his 2nd attempt. David Leclaire's 1st run was a 228.965. We were told that Forsyth is doing a lot of officiating, getting drivers set up, or getting them prepared for their qualifying runs. So will not disturb him, but a good lap for him. And right now, looking like he's going to have some pretty good starting track position for the Indy 500. While we've got the opportunity, tell you guys about a special partnership that's going on. Of course, LMCgear.com, the sponsor of our starting grid and our finishing results every Wednesday night. Over 1 billion people live without electricity. Access to clean, affordable light and energy is critical to improving health, education, and prosperity. Unite to Light is dedicated to providing low-cost solar light and power to those without electricity across the globe. LMCgear.com and UniteToLight.org want to highlight their new partnership by giving away a Chandler Charge solar cell phone charger to the winner of the Dark Horse Indy 500, as well as a couple of Luke Light solar emergency lights to the second and third place finishers. In addition, Charles Teed will be donating a Chandler Charge to the Dark Horse hard charger of the race, the driver that improves their positions from start to finish. You can purchase your own Unite to Light Chandler Charge or Luke Light at lmcgear.com. And if you'd like to know more about this program, check out unite2light.org. For every Chandler Charge or Luke Light you buy, Unite to Light will donate one to a partner organization doing humanitarian work around the globe. Once again, those websites, lmcgear.com and unite2light.org. There. First lap of his first attempt was a 39.327. This time 39.196. So definitely trending in the right direction. Right now en route for a 229.615 mile per hour run, which would have him tied right now with Jim Herrick for what I believe would be the 10th position. Obviously, the next 3 laps should be a tiebreaker. We'll see if it trends in the upwards direction or below Jim Herrick's lap time. Second lap was a 39.289 on the first attempt. And this time around, it was a... wait for the number to come in. 2:06. So 8/100ths faster. He did trend higher than Jim Herrick's lap time. Ooh, at 39.255 though for his third lap. So that just dropped him underneath Jim Herrick. Actually dropped him under quite a number of drivers. Dropped below Jim Herrick. He dropped below Bronson Stafford and Eric Peterson, as well as Scott Rankin. So he was trending inside the top 10, and now he's back around the 14th position after that third lap. We'll see what his fourth and final lap is going to be here and where it will position him. He will move up in the standings, as I believe he was scored in the 16th, 17th position, something like that, prior to going out. 39 flat for his final lap. 229.801. Boy, he picked it up there. Is anybody running a 39 flat? That's the fastest. I think that's, oh no, correction. Nope, it just updated. I was going to say, I don't think anybody, even the pole sitter, has run a 39 flat on his fourth and final lap. It was actually a 39.178, so a 229.541. For David Leclaire. It is going to pick him up 4 spots in the running order, moving him from 17th now up to 13th. Next driver in line should be the 4-car of Dylan Moskowitz, who will be going out for his second attempt. Right now, Moskowitz finds himself in the 15th position, I do believe. Correction, 16th position. And he'll head out onto the racetrack and try and improve a 229.481 mile per hour lap time. As he does that, we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break here. You're watching the Indianapolis 500 Pole Day qualifying for the Dark Horse Racing Series presented by Troy Lee Designs. We'll be back with Dylan Moskowitz lap times after this. You're not going to miss a thing. You'll get to observe his qualifying attempt here as we go FRN side by side.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an Indy car. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse Indy car drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an Indy car. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse Indy car drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an Indy car. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse Indy car drivers, start your engine.
Moskowitz going to be very happy with that lap time as he jumps up inside the top 10, scored 9th after his second attempt, 229.650. For a driver that wasn't even sure he was going to be racing in this event, scheduling changes gave him the opportunity, and he will be making his first attempt at a Dark Horse Racing Series Indy 500. Next driver to head on out would appear to be believe Matt Wagner. And Wagner said that he thinks he's got something for the pole position currently held by Nick Degroote. Degroote may have the pole position. He does not have the fastest lap set down in this session. That belongs to Henry Bennett, 39.090. Degroote 3/1000ths slower. But if you look at the drivers inside of the top 17 right now, all of them are separated by a tenth in terms of their fastest lap. You go down the board interval from position to position, it's thousandths. 3/1000ths, 6/1000ths. It's actually a dead tie, actually, between Dylan Moskowitz and Scott Rankin for the 9th fastest lap of the race with a 39.172. So it is really close all the way down the board. And while we're seeing it close in that regard, we're not seeing it like as close by thousandths as you would expect in the 4-lap average. Right now, you've got 9/1000 separating the top two, Degroote and Henry Bennett, but then it's almost a full tenth back to Charles Teed. So then another full tenth back to Craig Forsyth. It's about 600ths back to Rick Ravon. And then about another 700ths back to Matt Wagner. So we're looking more at hundredths in the interval than we are thousandths, with it being the 4-lap average. So I believe we're waiting on the finishing up of scoring here for where Dylan Moskowitz is going to be. His name having to be removed from the original starting position that he had, obviously improving much better here on this run. And according to the list that we have before us, I believe it is going to be Matt Wagner that is going to be the next one out. And there he goes. Appreciate everybody joining us here tonight for Pole Day qualifying for the Season 4 Indianapolis 500 for the Dark Horse Racing Series presented by Troy Lee Designs. We're going to be wrapping up here in just a little bit. Still going to be watching the attempts by Matt Wagner, Benjamin Combs, and David Cook. David Cook going to be making his first attempt. Session going to be running right now, projected until about midnight this evening for drivers to be able to still go out there, attempt either their first, second, or third runs at the pole position. Of course, last chance qualifying going to be taking place later on this week as well, setting the grid for this Saturday's Indianapolis 500, October the 23rd. The green flag will fly for a 200-lap event. The season finale, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us here on the Flatout Racing Network for complete coverage. All right, so Matt Wagner, his first attempt out, 229.791. Let's see what he's got here. If he's got anything to be able to challenge Nick Degroote, Henry Bennett, or Charles Teed, who right now would make up the front row for the drop of the green flag for the Indianapolis 500. Of course, the 3 wide starts here in the season finale. So 3 drivers make up the front row. And Wagner wants to be one of them. A former pole sitter from Season 2. A former winner from Season 3. Wait for his lap times to hit the board. His first lap looking to beat a 39.166 to be up there with Degroote and Bennett. He's looking for something in the 39.14 range. He might be able to get away with a 1.3. Bennett's fastest lap on the first lap was a 1.26. Degroote's was a 1.40, so he's at least within that neighborhood. And he is just a tick slower, 1.61 for Matt Wagner on his first lap. So he's trending in the wrong direction right now, about 2/100ths slower than Nick Degroote. Degroote's second lap was a 0.96, which theoretically means that Wagner is going to have to run a 0.7 or a 0.6. Can he do that? It'd be, I think, the fastest lap laid down by a driver here today, and it doesn't look like he did. It looks like he ran a 1.64. We will wait for official scoring to tell us what they had on their end, but it looks like on our end it was a 1.64. So he is not trending in the direction he would want to. It is officially a 1.64. He is trending in a 229.812 area, which would have him still right where he's at in the 6th position. Can he improve to be able to get 5th from Rick Ravon? He's looking to beat a 229.851. 3rd lap is in. Trends up a little bit with a 158, but only up to a 229.820. So he is still 3/100ths off of Rick Ravon's lap time, and Ravon currently sliding in the 5th position. So this is not what Matt Wagner was looking for. This is looking actually very close to what he ran on his first attempt. And it looks like he's throwing the lap away. He will not run the 4th lap. He will be going to his 3rd and final attempt here. So the question of where Matt Wagner is in the running order is now a big question mark, as his final attempt will determine his starting position in the Indy 500. Next driver that'll head on out is going to be the 77 of Benjamin Combs. First time out, Benjamin Combs, believe, ran only 3 laps of his attempt, did not run the 4th lap, so he is yet to put together a 4-lap average run. This will, however, count as his 2nd attempt, since he did take the green flag on his previous attempt. It looks like we do now have Gale Brooks available, so let's see if we can talk with him, as I'm certain he will probably at some point be putting a 2nd lap together. Has only made 1 attempt at this point in time. Yeah, let's set up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. Gotcha. I said, let's make sure it was me. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. All right, so you got your first attempt under your belt. We've seen a lot of drivers on their first attempts just kind of experiment with the conditions of the track, kind of make some mental notes for the 2nd and 3rd runs. Is that what you did? You have a 2nd attempt coming up here later on tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm going to probably try to do one more. So I'm not too worried about qualifying positions, but yeah, I do feel like I definitely left a lot on the table. Obviously, a lot of us have done Indy here with these DW12 cars versus the IR18s, but honestly, it was a lot more planted than I really thought it was going to be. And I think, like I said, I think I could have been a little more aggressive on just the driving the track, kind of cut the white line that little bit extra, always shortcut as much as you can. And of course, try to be a little smoother on the wheel. I felt like I had a little bit too much kind of play back and forth through the turns, scrubbing off that little bit. And with these guys, any little bit there is going to cost you probably a handful of positions.
All right, so we know you're going to be attempting your 2nd Indy 500 here on Saturday, but let's talk about the season overall, because it's been really a lot of consistency out of this 71 car. 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s, an average finish of 8th place. I mean, you almost had that fuel strategy victory last week at Texas. I mean, a lot of momentum with 3 straight top 5s heading into this Indy 500. So what's that got to do for a driver's confidence when you're heading into a race as big as this one?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be making things go the right way, feeling okay, maybe I'm learning what I need to do better, doing kind of improving, obviously, race by race. And then also I think Charles and the admins with Dark Horse have really been working with setups as well. I think trying to help kind of eliminate some of the aero push, which, I mean, you're never going to get rid of it, but I think it's been a lot more drivable through it. So I think the combo of all of those has really been helping my cause. And yeah, I say obviously getting that result at Texas was huge. I was definitely working Matt over on the radio towards the end of the race, seeing if I could throw him off his game. Didn't quite work, but it was fun to try. But obviously, if I'm going to finish second to somebody, I say the only person I'd maybe rather finish second to would be my dad, but I say to finish second to a teammate's always a nice thing to have.
All right, so last race of the season, it's the third straight season. We head into the 500 with the championship basically all locked up. So now everybody's just trophy hunting. They want to win the big one at the end of the season. With that being said, how much team communication goes on between you and the other drivers on your team, Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks? I mean, do you guys share all your information? Do you hold a little bit back to maybe have a little bit of an edge to be that first one back to the checkered flag? I mean, just how much teammateship takes place during the Indy 500 weekend?
See, during Indy, I'm not sure for Indy, but I must say for Texas, we were pretty much right on par with each other. I was telling Matt, kind of going into that run, he was on a different strategy than I was. I knew I had to take a little less fuel than him, but I had mentioned to him going into, like, man, I think I want to go fuel only. And he was agreeing with me. He's like, yeah, I think that actually does sound like a good idea. I got nervous about how early he pitted to make his fuel only stop. Obviously panned out nicely for him, but yeah, so definitely, I think we do communicate really well with one another. Say, of course, with racing, there's occasional times where we say everybody gets a little bit heated in the moment of things. If team strategy or say some things, you kind of wind up in the same place at the wrong time, kind of a thing. But as a whole, yeah, it's really fun to obviously race with people that obviously I know very well, like my father. And then been racing with Matt now for a handful, probably at least a year or more now. Known him for a few years now, so it's been really cool. So I'm hoping we'll get Gary Corley back on track here as well. He's been having some computer hardware, so it'll be nice to have the full team back in force. But yeah, I have a feeling we probably, if we can find a way to make it between the four of us, if we can give ourselves the best chance, I think we'll definitely be working strategy-wise, trying to give each of us the best chance to win. Whether or not if it pans out that way, but we'll definitely be going for it all, I'm sure.
One topic we've kind of avoided here tonight has been talking about, what's going to be happening when the green flag flies, and every likelihood we're going to see the caution flag numerous times, some pretty violent wrecks. Now, obviously, you guys have that fast repair to be able to fall back on, but, I mean, what are you expecting when the green flag drops here? Because we've talked about it, the level of competition all the way through the field has been subpar. It's been absolutely incredible during the course of this season. And I mean, you got all these guys out here that want to get that clean air. Some might not get the starting track position that they want here this evening, and they're going to want to get up to the front ASAP once we get the Indy 500 going. I mean, are you expecting things to be crazy early on? Are you expecting things to kind of settle out early and the aggressiveness to pick up the later the race happens? Because we've seen the caution flag fly 18 times in the last two Indy 500s.
Yeah, I didn't really realize there's that many. Yeah, that is a lot. I think it'll be a little bit of both. I do think, because the biggest thing too is we start picking up some drivers that may have not run the full season with us to try to get to that 33 car count, which I think we're looking pretty good to do this season. Carl and Carl. Eric and Charles and company, they've done a really, really good job on all of that. So to kind of bring some good drivers in, that's the problem too, is you start recruiting these new guys and it's not like they're picking up scrubs. They're picking up some pretty heavy hitters. So I'm a little nervous about some of those guys coming in. But with being part of leagues and helping run leagues here and there, whenever you get the new names, new faces that maybe haven't run races with all the guys over the course of a season, it's really kind of an opportunity to have those little hiccups where you kind of learn as you go throughout the course of that season. So I do think it could be a little difficult, especially on that initial start when you're going to have the 3 wide start, just because it's easy to make mistakes. As much as we probably don't want to admit it, we're not complete professionals. We're doing this to have fun and hang out with some of our buddies and stuff. But yeah, I think early on, we will probably have a couple. My goal is just going to kind of be to cruise initially, kind of maybe pull some strategy, get some track position, maybe towards the first quarter, half of the race. And then, start to try to see what I can actually do in relation to those guys. But I think for me, I'm going to have to go off strategy a little bit, I feel like, because, when you look at the Nick Degrootes, the Rick Ravens and company, those guys are just monsters. And so I'm going to have to do something different to find a way to get around those guys once it comes checker flag time.
All right, well, best of luck here on your upcoming attempt later on here tonight. We'll see if you can improve your starting position. Best of luck on Saturday, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
I appreciate it. I say really appreciate everything you guys do, and I say if you get the opportunity, I think he may have already bailed, but I say hopefully you're able to harass Charles Teed as it was his birthday today. So definitely happy birthday, Charles. I say definitely been a lot of fun racing with him throughout these last couple seasons.
Absolutely, and right now Charles Teed might get himself a nice little birthday present as he's currently sitting on the outside of the front row, which with the Indy 500 is not second. It would be third place as it's a 3-wide start on Saturday afternoon. We're looking at David Cook in the 24 out there. Obviously had a wealth of information with his teammate Rick Ravon. We'll see if he's able to apply what he was told here and where his starting position will be, at least after his first attempt. He's going to be the final driver that we will cover here this evening for his qualifying run. There are a number of other drivers that have just recently joined into the server, including Carl Henderson and Chris Fowler, 2 drivers that are going to be making their Dark Horse Racing Series debut in the Indy 500, as well as overall in the series. AJ Musselman has also joined the server, and he will be putting down his first qualifying attempt in about half an hour, it looks like, projected. So be interesting to see where those drivers are going to be slotted in the starting lineup. You'll be able to find that out when we go green this Saturday, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. David Cook's first lap, 39.155. Right now, that puts him just a tick off of the podium with his first lap. See if he can pick something up here on the second lap, but definitely a good first lap to start with. David Cook still has 2 more attempts after this should he have a mistake take place, so bear that in mind as well. The only drivers at this point in time that have used all 3 of their attempts are Craig Forsyth, Rick Ravon, and Jimmy Drynan. They can no longer attempt a qualifying effort during the course of this evening. Everybody else still has, if not all 3, at least 2 or 1 more attempt left to go. 39.143 second lap for David Cook. Right now he is right in between 3rd and 4th place on the running order. 229.891 is what he's at an average right now. That would put him just ahead of Rick Ravon and just below Craig Forsyth. So actually projected 5th place is where the driver at the 24 is currently at. Looks like 3rd lap is in. On our end, it says 39.147. That is confirmed on the end of the race officials. So 229.895 right now for David Cook. Still not good enough to knock Forsyth off of 4th place. Final lap comes in. Got a 132 on our end, waiting for officials to confirm it on their end. If it is a 132, it should put him P5 in the running order. Lap time is not in just yet. And it is now in. It was a 132. 229.919. Boy, he got close there to trying to get up to Charles Teed to knock him off the podium, but not quite going to be able to do it. He's going to jump to 4th. Actually, did he just tie Craig Forsyth? He did. He just tied Craig Forsyth for 4th place. So now what do they do in that situation? What happens if there's a tie? David Cook will probably go out for a second attempt to try and take that 4th position all to his own. But right now, he and Forsyth are tied with a 229.919. How cool is that? Well, I was just talking about what? Just moments ago, it was hundredths that were separating drivers. Yeah, how about 0.00000000000 separating drivers for a position? And if David Cook doesn't go out there, I don't know how they do a tiebreaker. Jeff Heisong going down for what I believe is going to be his 3rd and final attempt. But that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight of the Dark Horse Racing Series presented by Troy Lee Designs. Indianapolis 500 pole day qualifying. These drivers still have about 2.5 hours that they'll be able to go out there and set lap times. Some of them going to be setting down their first lap times. Others going to be going out for their second or final attempts and securing their spots into the Indianapolis 500. Once again, that's going to be this Saturday, October 23rd. Green flag will be flying at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure you join us for what's going to be a heck of a season finale. Thanks to Matthew Rodriguez and Scott Rankin for joining me here in the booth. Thanks to all of you that joined us here tonight for this qualifying session. Hope you guys join us for the main event this weekend. But for Scott Rankin, Matthew Rodriguez, and everybody here in the Dark Horse Racing Series, I've been Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us here tonight and watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.